Hey everyone, welcome to GameFace, episode 316 on Sifted Games at Sifted.net. I'm Shane Satterfield, your humble host for the next couple hours of game discussion and the founder of Sifted, alongside me to what I believe be a part of an awesome show today is Matt Kyle. What's up, Matt?
Not much. You when don't you think the show is going to be awesome? You think it's going to be awesome, or you think it's going to be short? Those are your two options. It's never short.
Well, since I'm the one who puts the show together and does all the pre-production for the show, of course, I think every episode is going to be awesome. I am most certainly a biased source for the quality of each episode of GameFace. There's no denying it whatsoever.
Source revealed to me in a dream.
Exactly. I'll be honest with you, though. We do have a great show today. A bunch of stuff happened over the last week. Almost too much, honestly. Kind of like last week. Where
Stuff did happen.
It did. Our show last week was like 3 hours and 20 minutes. We cannot do that again. We're getting out under 3 hours today. Faux show. But we do have a lot to talk about. There's tons even just in the housekeeping for this week's episode, because just so many small stories also happened this week that we want to get into in today's show before we turn the page on to next week's episode. So we shouldn't wait too long screwing around. How was your week, Matt? Did anything special happen for you this week or to you?
Not a whole lot.
Wait, I saw Blu-rays of your films downstairs.
Oh yeah, they're there. I mean, that was a few weeks ago.
That's awesome.
But, yeah. They're the director made Blu-rays. He's industrious that way.
Yeah, they look great.
Recorded director's commentary for them and everything.
That's awesome. Was the director's commentary longer than the actual films?
Well, no, because it fit. But the special features where he shot all these behind the scenes interviews and stuff, that is longer than the actual films, because the films are only 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah. So you shoot a lot and have to cut it way down ultimately to get the time. But I thought it was great seeing your work in hard copy form, even though no one cares about that physical media anymore. No. I thought it was pretty awesome to see it.
Yeah, that's cool. It's just so we have it.
Yeah.
It will not be on Amazon or anything.
Yeah. You can't go into Best Buy and buy it or anything like that, but it's cool to have.
Yeah, we just made them for us, pretty much.
That's awesome. One note before we really get going here. Last week's show, it sounded like there was a record running off the entire episode. There was this weird kind of static in the background of the audio that, in hindsight, someone said a couple people mentioned it offhand in the chat, but like we didn't see it. If you ever hear anything like that on the show, let us know in chat. We will stop the show and fix the issue before we move forward. So anyway, I had to do a lot of work on last week's audio, and it was like an extra long episode. It made for a lot of post-production work on the episode. So if you ever hear anything in the audio, or if there's a weird camera glitch or something that's going on with GameFace, let us know in the chat. And if we don't recognize you right away, keep telling us, because we will eventually see it and we will eventually stop and get the issue fixed before we move on. Now, I'll say this. I got here early today and did a ton of audio tests, and I cannot replicate the problem from last week. It seemed like it sounded great to me. I'm hoping that's the case for you guys. But again, if you do hear anything out of the ordinary or see anything out of the ordinary, always let us know. We're willing to stop down and get it fixed so that the rest of the episode sounds and looks as good as possible.
The soundboard's quiet quitting.
The what?
The soundboard is quiet quitting.
I think that's what the problem is. I think our soundboard is slowly dying. And the way electronics die is they typically just don't stop working. They start acting weird before they stop working. And I think that's what's happening with our soundboard, which means we're probably going to have to buy another one. Sound Wizard says it sounds like an XLR cable issue to me. We did tests on all our XLRs. They are fine. I don't know. There's a ghost in the machine somewhere. Before we get going, though, I do want to thank people who have hooked us up with Twitch Prime early on in the show. There's a bunch of you guys. Johnny Hurricane, what's up, man? Hope you're doing good. Rosencrantz, thank you for subscribing at Tier 1. Greetings from Iceland. We have someone from Iceland that watches our show. That's amazing. The wonders of the internet, without a doubt. Johnny Hurricane, thank you for Twitch Prime. Hope you're doing great, man. We're getting to that point of the year, Johnny, where you and I are going to start playing some games together, I think. So those of you who don't know, Johnny Hurricane, which isn't his real name, but I'm not going to share what his real name is because he can share that. He also works in the industry. And when we get to Q4, a lot of times when there's cooperative games or multiplayer games to play, he and I will get together behind the scenes and play games for footage purposes, or in his case, whatever coverage that he's doing. So he and I are going to reacquaint ourselves with each other here in the next couple of months, I'm sure. Threadzilla, thank you for gifting all these tier 1 subs. That's so awesome. He says, gifting some subs in honor of my newborn baby girl who was just born this morning. Wow. No way. Wait a minute. Okay. For that, I have to give you a round of applause that we usually reserve just for the winner of Name That Game. But, bro, if you
and presumably for his wife.
Yeah, who really deserves the applause, let's be honest. But, bro, if you had a baby this morning and you were watching GameFace right now, you deserve more than applause. We need to figure out something to give people like you who are the most dedicated. Congratulations to you and maybe it's your wife or your girlfriend. And I'm assuming the baby was healthy. So congratulations, man. Talica 1981, thank you for Twitch Prime. That's awesome. Toast 9, thank you for Twitch Prime. One Super Master Gamer, thank you for Twitch Prime. David Nordic, thank you as well. Got anybody else in here? Johnny Hurricane says, sure, as long as it isn't COD. Sound Wizard, thank you for all the tier 1 subs. Again, all the more reason to roll in here and hang out with our crew during the show live at twitch.tv/CificGames. And if you're wondering what all the Twitch Prime stuff is about, you can give us a free $2.50 every month just by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and then subscribing to our channel. If you're watching on YouTube, the instructions to do that are down below. And if you just want to help us, just head to patreon.com/sifted. That's SIFTD without the E. And drop us a pledge. You can give us as much or as little as you want. We appreciate every single one of you. Okay. Let's do some housekeeping.
Level 5 hype train. Haven't seen that in a while.
Oh, no way. We're on the level 5 already, and the show's just getting kicked off. That's great, man.
Yeah, usually that was back in the days when they started the hype train.
Right. People were really excited about it when it first launched. Yeah, I totally get it. Threadzilla, thanks, Shane. In the hospital now, my wife is the real champ. Absolutely. There's no denying that, man. You were just there for emotional support, and she did all the work. Tota Mish, thank you for Twitch Prime as well. Again, we have a huge show. So we need to get going here, but we do have some housekeeping stuff. A couple smaller stories that happened this week I just want to touch on very quickly. Matt, this week, EVGA left the GPU market. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but I would guess probably more than half of the GPUs that I've bought in my life have been manufactured by EVGA. At
least.
They had become like a reliable brand for me, because a lot of times you get like these third-party card manufacturers. You don't know how quality they really are. I always felt like I could count on that company to create a good product. It's crazy. Like, who would have thought someone would leave the GPU market right now when it's hotter than it's ever been?
Well, no, it's dropping now.
Right, because crypto is not recovered, by the way.
No, it's not.
It is not recovered. It's still sitting at like around
every
20.
bubble's got a burst point.
But as like the stock market has come back and inflation's not moving as much, but gas prices have come way down. Like, crypto has not rebounded like everything else has.
Well, because for a scam to work, you have to keep getting new people involved.
That's true.
And that has basically stopped.
Well, when it's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah. When anything.
You always have to have...
Pyramid schemes are obviously the best example, and that is how NFTs work.
I mean, that's really what crypto is a pyramid scheme.
Some of it, yeah.
You wait for other people underneath you to buy in, and then you cash out when it goes up.
The blockchain tech is legit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But the way crypto is used is more or less a way to cash out at the top and leave the people at the bottom holding the bag. And a lot of people wised up to that scheme, especially with that. I mean, NFTs, I think, hastened that. Yeah. That was a little too transparent for most people. Yep. And the bottom dropped out of it a little bit. There's still money in there. If you're already heavily invested, there's not really much you can do about it. But everyone's gonna hodl and hope that comes back eventually.
I hope it comes back. Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see. It's been interesting. But
that is. I mean, on the upside is that. Well, the upside is I didn't have anything in crypto, and the other upside is that you can get graphics cards again for reasonable amounts of money. Although don't buy the used one. The one, I guess, they're fire selling them out of crypto like mining banks and stuff. Like, you don't want those cards.
I actually read that there's no wear and tear on cards at all on crypto mining.
That depends on who you ask, but I would still buy a new.
I did some research because I'm looking at a card right now, and most experts that work at like the big tech websites say that there's really no wear and tear on graphics cards. Like, either they work or they don't, and the amount that they're used really has no impact on that. They're like, now sure, somebody who was running a crypto farm could have spilled a soda or something on their cards. That could affect them, but if they're actually good working cards, they should be fine. But that's my research. Who knows? So anyway, EVGA leaving the GPU market, that's a big deal.
Yeah, well, this seems to be because they're not happy with their treatment from NVIDIA.
Oh, as
like
a partner.
That was what they said. Like, NVIDIA was an abusive partner, basically, and they're not doing this anymore.
Which is crazy because, they should have been making money hand over fist.
They should have.
The last, 4 or 5 years.
Although maybe they were, and now they're not.
And they bailed at the right time.
Now it's time to stop putting up with it.
That's true.
So
yep, that's a good point.
That could have been something.
Yep. Another smaller story from this week. The PlayStation 5, this is coming from a reliable source, will have a new version for 2023 that will have a detachable disk drive. And when the disk drive is attached, the new model will look like the current PS5. So they're saying there's some kind of a module that will snap into the new PS5 that will make it look like the disc-based version that we have now. I'm assuming they're just going to leave the digital version alone and leave it the same. So it sounds like actually what they're going to do is they're going to reconfigure the digital version to have a port so it can be upgraded to the disc-based version. That way they don't have to manufacture two models.
Maybe there'll be like a cover that smooths it out or something.
That'd be my guess. So that's smart, I think. I'm guessing PlayStation has found a way to make it cheaper.
Yeah, but maybe you could allow people to buy systems at some point.
Right.
That'll be fun.
Well, they said also, the story said that this is in anticipation of everything getting going again. Apparently, a lot of electronics manufacturers feel like we're right on the cusp of everything finally getting back to
everything
normal.
does seem to be moving again.
Yep.
Just the sheer number of things that I have had shipped from China that have been delayed for months and months all at once.
Finally, the holdup is breaking free, and
they're finally getting through the backlog.
Yeah, which is good. That should help everything. Inflation,
Same
pretty
with,
much all of it.
Same with like the shipping port backups, is you're not seeing that as much anymore. You're seeing something that's coming over by ship from China is arriving in a reasonable amount of time again. So
they needed 24-hour shifts at the docks for like 2 years to clear that out. That's insane. That's how long it took with 24-hour shifts around the clock at the docks to get it caught up.
But at least they were making good money doing it.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, like double, triple time. Yeah. So, and then finally, of the smaller stories, and maybe this should have been an actual topic in episode 316, is that G4, the new G4, just laid off half its staff.
A lot, like 20-ish, I think.
Oh, there's only 20?
20. I read it was 20 to 30.
Oh, then that's only like 10%. Because the most astounding thing to me that came out through all of this was that G4 was employing over 200 people.
Yeah, they scaled way up.
For what?
For all, I mean, their daily streaming thing was out of an actual studio was an ambitious thing. So
yeah, I mean, but you and I know we've worked in TV. We know,
and they have a full corporate
studio,
wing.
That's maybe the problem. That's where the blow's coming from.
Full corporate wing with like assistant stuff. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that. Office they have.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, you could do the modern G4 out of a closet, really, but like they have an office that is better than the one we had when we were an actual internationally broadcast cable station. So
yeah, What happened, Matt? What was the biggest mistake in your opinion?
I don't think they knew what they wanted.
Because this is not going to succeed.
No, I don't think they knew what they wanted to be. There was no clear focus on what to do, or basically there was no clear focus being given to the show teams to tell them what to do as their shows. You know, like X-Play wasn't really X-Play. It was the subject matter was the same, and maybe the tone was attempting to be the same, but it was just people sitting around talking.
It was just a podcast.
It was a podcast.
Really what it was.
And Attack of the Show was the same thing. I mean, Attack of the Show always kind of had a podcasty feel to it, but like that was what Attack of the Show did. X-Play was a very produced, very structured magazine format review show, and that was what made it different to some degree.
It was just another gaming show.
Just another gaming show. I mean, it's not all that different from us.
No, except there was like 80 people on
except there's tons of people
instead of 2.
And a big couch.
Which we've done before.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the biggest thing, I just think they hired the wrong people. Like, I know for a fact that one of the people who is supposed to be developing new shows at G4 came from like marketing at Apple, and it had never worked in games, had never worked in real production before, and never launched a show. This person has worked there for like 4 years, and the part of G4 that they control has never launched a show.
And they've already shut down a couple shows. So.
Yeah, it's
including the one that I thought was the best one, Boosted.
They hired all the worst people from the first G4. All the people who were running G4 before we got there, and it was going nowhere, are the people that they rehired to run the new G4.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't know much about the upper management of the new G4.
I know for a fact, yes. So they blew through all that. I just can't even fathom that they had all that money, and you look at the numbers of the people that are watching their shows. It's insane. Mm-hmm. Like, they should have spent half the money that they spent on whatever they blew it on and spent it on marketing. So people knew that they even existed.
Yeah, they have never run a single commercial.
No, or anything. I never seen any marketing across.
No, I don't think there has been any marketing.
I live all week on gaming websites. I have never seen an ad for G4 on any of the websites. Ever. Mm-hmm. It just ineptitude just destroyed it. And I know everyone's going to be like, no, it was Frosh because she told people the truth and they didn't want to hear it. No, that's not it. There are enough good people out there that Frosh speaking the truth about how some of the people in our audience look at women should not doom a TV network.
No,
but there are enough people out there who agree with her.
There.
What'd you say?
People didn't know it was there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot like Sifted,
But
honestly.
the Chuds found it because someone said women were people.
Right. And then there they go. They're like, oh, someone said something good about women.
And the most annoying part of all of it, and we'll get to this again in the GTA 6 section, is that they think they matter.
Right.
And they think that they had the impact. And they think that this is happening because of them.
Right.
Which is not true.
Yeah. There's plenty.
People can mismanage a network just fine without your input. I promise.
Yes, that is absolutely true. So anyway, that's the housekeeping for today's episode. There's a lot to get to, and maybe we spent a little bit too much time on it. It may make getting the show to time a little difficult, but those are three pretty big stories that I felt like we needed to discuss before we got into the show proper, and that is what we're going to do right now. Matt hinted at it, teased it, segued to it. We're going to talk about the big Grand Theft Auto 6 leaks that happened this past week. Before we get going, I am going to show the leaked footage. It's only going to be shown here on the stream. I'm going to have to black it out whenever the show goes up on YouTube. So the archives for our patrons, the archives for YouTube, there's just going to be a black screen up for a lot of it, unfortunately.
Front gate's closed, so the Rockstar Ninjas can't get in.
Yeah, but I do want to reward the people who show up to watch the show live. A lot of you may not have seen the footage, and I will say this. I got all the footage. I went through it all. I discarded a lot of all the crap, pretty much, and only included the stuff that really kind of showed what Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be, and it's still 20-some minutes long. There were 90-plus videos leaked from Grand Theft Auto 6. And when I said I got rid of a lot of them, what I mean is there's a lot of videos that are just like wireframe and just show like character animations like in this void. Like I cut all that stuff out. I generally only use footage that either shows something new.
Chat's worried about showing Steph Sterling has the footage in their video that's been up for 2 days. Like they're not doing that.
There's no problem doing it here live. Twitch does not check that stuff live. Now, if I were to try to push this archive live on Twitch, it would get caught. Or if I tried to run this footage on YouTube, it would get caught. Because from what I've been told, Rockstar has protected all that footage now on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
but the only thing I've seen Rockstar going after is the raw postings.
Yeah.
Like using it in videos when you're talking about it has been left alone.
I mean, let's be honest. That's fair use editorially. We should be allowed to use this footage as long as we're talking about it. It's legally, but am I going to go to court against Rockstar's legal team? That's what Rockstar counts on. Little guys like us being like, you know what? I can't really afford to spend like $200,000 defending ourselves against Rockstar's lawsuit, so I'll just avoid the lawsuit altogether. And that's what Rockstar's counting on. And they're right. We're not going to leave it in the archive. We're going to black it out so people can't see it. But for you folks here today, we are going to run all of it. All that matters. Again, another reason to show up and watch GameFace Live every week, because you never know what you're going to see on the show that other people are never going to see. So anyway, I'll just get this footage going, Matt, and we'll talk over it, because the way it's organized, there's no good way to do it. So again, there's a lot of debug code over this stuff. The other thing I'll say too, before we get going here, is don't rag on the game for how it looks in this footage. This is the way games are made. This is how games look.
And honestly,
when they're in development.
For a pre-alpha, this looks amazing.
It really does. Parts of it really look amazing.
I've played stuff this early before of games I will not tell you which ones they are, and they didn't look like this. Like it was like trying to read the Matrix through the green code screen. Like this is extra, because clearly you're using a lot of GTA 5 assets as placeholder here. This is incredible as far as like something this early. Like and it just proves like I don't know if there's an enthusiast community in any kind of pop culture area that knows less about how the thing it loves is made than gamers.
Yeah,
like
it really is crazy.
It is astounding how stupid.
There's so many developer docs out there. Well, they'll walk you through it. They'll show them working on their terminals.
Like you had people that were actually saying like, "Oh no, visuals are always done first, and so this is what it's going to look like." And it's like I am impressed by how confidently wrong you are in all the ways you could be wrong. It's astonishing the ignorance.
Yeah.
On display in
the last few
to
days, it's been pretty bad.
Astonishing.
Yeah.
This game is probably 3 years out.
These are also the people
and we don't even know when this was recorded. This could be a year old. This
could be older
years
than that.
old.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Like they're clearly using old assets as placeholder to get the gameplay right and get the features right. Someone pointed out in a discussion about old Assassin's Creed stuff today that I saw online that the original like art and like mock-up stuff of Assassin's Creed Origins had Edward Kenway as a placeholder in it, because that's how long ago they started working on that game. You can't judge anything that early.
The people who are saying this stuff too are also the ones who think they know everything.
Yeah,
and they're the ones who are out on social media acting like jackasses when they don't know shit. Anyway, this is not actually a hacker that got this footage. Let's just lay something down right now.
It's a child.
About hackers. Hackers really do not exist. Like, the way we envision hackers of the guy who goes in and, like, tries to find a hole in the code and codes his own thing to get in there.
The cyberpunk Decker is not
that
a
is
thing.
a fantasy.
Yeah.
Hackers really are just manipulators. They figure out how to get into places by
Social
manipulating
engineering.
people.
Yeah.
They either phish with an email saying, "Oh my God, your account's been hacked. Please input your login credentials here."
Yeah, I get that stuff all the. You know what I would think is really funny? Most recently, all the stuff I've gotten in terms of like the phishing scams have been, you just won this like expensive like hardware or tool item. Like put in your information. Like, does that work on like dumb guys?
It works on some people.
Big tool sheds.
If it works on 1 out of 1,000.
Oh, I need a portable generator for free from this Walmart email that somehow came from RD6859 at whatever.net. It's like,
I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. I have some older relatives in my family that will absolutely fall for stuff like that.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's just the way it is. So this guy did not hack into Rockstar's servers. It did not hack into Rockstar's website. It basically just sent emails to people who worked at Take-Two and finagled their way onto Rockstar Slack. And then once they got into the Slack, they just started searching for media where the developers had been sharing stuff saying, "Hey, I'm working on this animation routine. What do you think? Here's a clip."
Here's how you know it's real, because he has to pick up every single piece of money.
Yeah.
That's pure Rockstar.
And I think that's going to be in this game.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be annoying.
That's their lesson from Red Dead Redemption 2. It's like, we have to make everything more tedious.
Right.
That's what everybody wants.
Well, when it sells that well, what does it tell you?
Right.
It tells you did the right thing.
It tells you people will put up with that for a good story.
Yeah.
It tells me.
So anyway, this was not a hack. Like, the kid ends up the kid's 16 years old.
Yeah, he did the same thing to Uber earlier, apparently.
Yep.
And wanted to see if it would work on something he cared about.
And it did.
And there you go.
Surprise, surprise. It's just funny how, and these are people who work at Rockstar and Take-Two.
Yeah, these should be much more tech-savvy people, but you never know.
I mean, I gotta hand it to the kid. He's 16, and he got this stuff, like, that people have been thirsting for like 8 years. And
then he spent some time trying to
sell it.
Trying to ransom it to Rockstar, and Rockstar wouldn't play ball, so he just started selling it to random people.
Yep. So anyway, as I said, there are 90
I feel like
clips.
there may be repercussions for that.
Oh, he's going to get in trouble.
Good
They'll
luck.
catch him eventually, for sure. I think they may have caught him, actually.
His parents better hope they're not in a state where they're responsible for his actions.
I think he's been in trouble for this before, like a couple years ago.
Yeah, this is, I'm sure, not his first rodeo.
To get Rockstar stuff, absolutely. So anyway, there are 90 clips, and I did go through all of them, and there are some things that I've gleaned from the 90 different clips. Again, when you see bugs in this...
Yeah, clearly this is how it's going to come out
This is not what the game's going to be like. I hate that I have to keep saying this, but this is not what the final game's going to look like. This is them testing animation and things. So, but I did manage to glean some information from looking at all the clips. First of all, Vice City in this game is set in our time. It's not set in some weird alternate 80s like it was in the past. It is set in modern day. Rockstar is saying development will not be impacted. I saw some people on Sifted saying, "Oh, they need to trash all their engines and start all over."
No, they don't.
No, they do not. They do not need to do that at all.
They will keep on keeping on.
Yep. This won't affect their development of this game at all, other than to take a couple days to try to shore up any holes that were exposed through this whole thing. But for the most part,
maybe discipline Brad for clicking on some things he shouldn't have clicked on.
Yep. It stars both a male and a female protagonist. The guy is named Jason. The woman is named Lucia. You can tap down on the D-pad to switch between the two characters. It also seems like when one character grabs like loot or items, some things are actually shared between the two characters. So it doesn't seem like there's going to be like a strict line between the two where one only gets one stuff.
Not in this. There might be in the final game.
It could be. And that's the other thing, too. All this could change.
Yeah.
Because the game, as Matt pointed out earlier, is still probably 2-3 years away. I think that's probably a pretty good guess.
Yeah, I mean, they've said 2 years, but I'm guessing, that can obviously slip.
Yeah.
Rockstar doesn't release anything till they're ready.
Yeah. That's what I would say. You can go prone for the first time in series history. Huge. That is huge. It's such a simple, stupid thing, but they've never managed to get it into a GTA game. It is in this. There's tons of animation routines showing all of that, going from vertical to prone to crouch and back and forth, blah, blah, blah. You can also cover your face with your weapon or your arms if someone's shooting at you to block bullets. I don't know how well that's supposed to work, but... It was a part of the animation routines that were shown off in these videos. I
guess it's better if you get shot in the arm than in the eye.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. You can pick up weapons off the ground, which is good. And your loadout actually appears on your character model. So you don't have this, endless well of weapons that magically appear. Style. Right. Whatever weapons you're carrying around show up on your character model. There was also clips that showed off airboats, which shockingly have never been in GTA to my recollection. Do you remember them ever?
The fan boats?
Yeah. I don't remember them ever being in it.
I could swear they were in Vice City.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember them. Scuba diving. They showed off horses and tons of other animals. And there was also an option in one of the menus for animal taming, Matt. So it looks like you may be able to find wild animals and tame them, and then I don't know how all that works.
Pet alligator, here we go.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could ride horses as well.
My word, those police uniforms are snug.
Yep. Yeah. Let's see, what else did I find? We already talked about grabbing the stacks of money individually off the ground, a la Tedium, a la Red Dead Redemption 2, gonna make you do stuff that you may not want to do. And it does kind of become muscle memory after a while if you play the game for a good bit. But I mean,
if you're going for the realism thing, you got to do the thing where it's got to take you the right amount of time to gather all the stuff you want, because that's part of robbing something is how long it's going to take you to stick everything in a bag and start running.
It's true. Yeah, it matters for sure. But it still some people might consider it to be annoying.
Oh, I definitely consider it annoying, but I understand why they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it creates a sense of urgency, like anytime you're stealing money.
Yeah, and you know what? It's better than sticking me in an animation I can't break.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
I can grab a couple, turn around, shoot some guys, grab a few more, turn around. There's potential there, but it does tell me that they are they're leaning into the Red Dead Redemption style. You might have to do this in real life. You want to play real life, right? That's the thing that's fun about video games is how real they are.
Yeah.
I just hope you can hold the damn button and run and not just have to constantly tap it again.
Yeah, that would really suck. There's no way they're going to do that.
I think one of the things was it Red Dead or something they just did, added an option for that finally. Oh, the definitive edition let you just tap A and switch to run mode.
That's right.
So
yeah, that's true.
So apparently they're open to that now. Yeah, so that's good.
Which I don't know why they weren't before, but whatever.
For years, that was a whole thing. They're like, no, that's how GTA works. That's how Rockstar games work. Is you have to hammer the A button to run. Like that was like a point of pride to them.
Yeah.
That was how it worked, and I guess they finally got with the times on that.
Also, there's fishing. It's another new feature that was a big part of Red Dead Redemption as well.
Enjoy your fishing.
Yeah. I'm wondering with this clip if they're trying to sink the boat.
No, I think they're trying to see how many bullet hole decals they can get
before they run out.
Before something happens.
Before the RAM runs out or whatever. It's interesting watching this stuff because it's like a puzzle trying to figure out exactly what they're trying to figure out by using these little clips. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is really just animation and the character models interacting with the environments and making sure it looks realistic and they're reacting to things the way that they're supposed to. But that's pretty much all the clues that we have. Obviously, you can see some of the weapons that are in the game. They look to be traditional handguns and rifles and shotguns and things of that nature. There's no over-the-top kind of weapons. People have found in some of this type of footage where they see lists that there's some stuff like Bigfoot that's in the game, like a lot of like urban legends around Grand Theft Auto.
I mean, that might just be a reference to how often people think Bigfoot is in.
It could be
because Bigfoot's not in Florida,
right? Well, they call it something else in Florida. There's a word for it.
Skunk ape.
Yeah, that's it.
Or the yowie.
That's it. Yeah. How did you know that?
I had a cryptid phase.
Okay.
As a kid.
That's impressive. I read a story somewhere not long ago about how Florida calls Bigfoot something different, but I could not remember the name of it.
There is more of it's a swamp ape that smells horrible.
Right.
Although Bigfoot does tend to be reported as smelling horrible anyway. But no, the skunk ape is what that is.
Yeah. The Legacy says in chat, this looks more playable than Saints Row.
Yeah, this is about where Saints Row was when it came out.
This is about where Saints Row released the game.
Yeah.
But I like
slightly better textures in places, but that's about it.
I do like some of these shots, though, where they've turned on traffic, and you can kind of see how populated everything's going to be, and when they turn on the pedestrians and things like that. I guess the one thing I would say overall with what I've seen of this so far is that it's maybe not stretching its legs as much as I had hoped.
I mean, it's GTA.
It is. And I guess that's good enough.
What else do you expect?
Yeah. I don't know, after 8 or 9 years, maybe I expected something a little mind-blowing.
But what?
And there could still be. Obviously, it's still years away.
The mind-blowing in this game is going to have to be the systems. It's going to have to be what you're doing or the empire you're building or the overall larger stuff, that kind of how they all interact together or how you interact with people and that kind of thing. Because you can see the Red Dead Redemption 2 like conversation system a couple places in this, so that's a step.
Yeah.
But like, the baseline of what GTA is always going to be the baseline of what GTA is. Like, nothing in this is mind-blowing because it's just GTA. Like, when of course that's what's going to be. The thing that makes GTA 6 interesting is going to be the scale, the scope, the strategy to things, like the systems and how they interact. Like, will they, the heist system in GTA 5 was a really cool idea, but you only do it twice.
You didn't use it.
And you're railroaded through story through it. You never get to plan a heist on your own. So, like, if you put stuff like that in this, that'll be really cool, and that can affect other things and depend how people react. There's a whole cascade of things that different systems can do and how the world reacts to your characters, how the world reacts to one character and not the other. Like, Jason could be wanted and Lucia wasn't involved, so she isn't wanted, and then she has to be the one to go do stuff. And, like, there's a lot of stuff you could do with that, but you can't see it in any of this footage because that's not what this footage is about.
Well, that's maybe one thing that was disappointing to me, is that we already kind of knew there was going to be a male and female protagonist, but I really thought it might be more of what you had talked about, where you'd have different sections of the game where you play as one or the other, instead of it being a selectable character that you can swap between at all times. And again, that could change before the game comes out. They could completely get rid of the tapping down on the D-pad to switch characters.
Yeah, that might be here simply because
they just want
to be able to swap between them whenever you want to test the two different characters in the
This
same
shot
place.
right here, I think, is the one that maybe demonstrates the game the best, like as far as like what it might look like when it's actually done. Because you got like an active street, you got pedestrians, you got all the different vehicles sort of running on their animation routines and blah, blah, blah. But again, it's Grand Theft Auto. Like, I don't know. I'm not seeing a crazy creative spark, I guess, is what I'm a little disappointed in.
But I wouldn't expect it at this stage.
Yeah. And again, I can be wrong. They can slide stuff in there, or that stuff just wasn't in this footage. There is that stuff, but it just wasn't a part of this treasure trove that this kid uncovered on Rockstar's Slack or whatever.
I mean, that stuff you add, that's like top level stuff you add later on once everything's working properly.
Yeah. And again, I think the one thing everyone needs to remember is visually, do not take this footage for what the game is going to look like. This is as rough as it gets.
Visual polish is the last thing.
Yep.
Because you don't do that until you're sure everything's in place.
Yeah.
Like when you're not necessarily happy with it. I mean, Rockstar can do it after they're happy with everything because they're Rockstar and they have basically infinite time and budget. But you have to basically lock everything down and say, okay, this is what the game is. Now you can start polishing everything up visually and make it look pretty.
Yeah.
And then, but until then, look at the people who've been posting Sea of Thieves early, like pre-alpha and alpha stuff, and like all the player characters, all the pirates are just like big blobs with googly eyes on them. Like it's just like they don't do that until it's there's no reason to do that work until it's done. It's like someone made the comparison of like it's like looking at a building that's half finished and complaining about the paint.
Yeah.
It's not.
That's a good analogy.
It's not what you start with.
Yep, and of course there always has to be a strip club in GTA.
Yeah, I mean,
no surprise that one.
Where else are you going to have the third mission?
Right? Yeah. No surprise that of 90 clips from this game, that one of them was from the strip club. Mm-hmm. I think we could have all counted on that. One Super Master Gamer is asking if we think it's going to be cross-gen.
I would be very surprised.
And by the time this comes out, I don't think cross-gen will even be a thing anymore.
No.
I think it'll just...
If anything, it would be cross-gen next gen.
Right. It'll be cross-gen with PS5 and PS6.
Yeah.
Not PS4. Yeah. I don't think so. If it were coming out next year, absolutely, it would be cross-gen. Mm-hmm. In Rockstar, I would also argue would be one to push it farther than other developers and studios. As far as, like, most studios have given up on PS4 and Xbox One... I could see Rockstar being like, nah, we're good. Like, we're going to support those consoles for another at least 6 months, longer than everybody else. But I think by the time this game comes out, even that will have run out of time.
Yeah,
and
I wouldn't even really think that. I think that they're going to see this as the launch platform for the new online thing, mm-hmm. and kind of your Trojan horse for getting people into that, and they mm-hmm. want that to be the new gen.
Yeah.
I think they'd stick to next gen, even if it was next year.
Yep. And obviously this footage backs up a lot of the leaks and the rumors that have come out for months now, that it is set predominantly in Vice City. Again, that there are the 2 different playable characters. A lot of the stuff that has been leaking out over the last 18 months or so has been borne out in this footage. So a lot of those leaks were accurate, which is encouraging. Because if we report them on GameFace and they're not legit, we end up looking pretty bad. So... it's good to see that the stuff that we decided to pick up and talk about on the show ended up being accurate. Matt, does this make you any more or less excited for the game, what we've seen and heard over the last few days?
Doesn't really change anything. It is GTA.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the way I put it. It's exactly what I expected.
Yeah. Like, that's what makes some of the reactions even more baffling, is how it's like, what did you think this was going to be? Like, what, you expecting jetpacks and superpowers? Like, what? It's just...
yeah, I think it was going to be like crazy sci-fi or something. Like...
and of course, the usual response, the people freaking out that one of the characters is a woman. So, Rockstar's gone woke. It's because woke just means anything that focuses on someone that isn't a white straight male for 5 seconds.
Pretty much. Yeah. That's probably the most accurate definition of it. Why do people care?
Because the culture war gets clicks. You got these YouTubers and people that just like kind of whip these weirdos up into a frenzy, and they get a lot of attention and money from that, and that's the grift.
So they have to just keep going from one thing to another, trying to find...
everything's got to be outrage, and some of it's very, it has become a global phenomenon, but it is very American in its sense of, like, we've got that sort of inherent cultural thing of like, oh, we're rebels, we started a revolution to get away from England. We've seen that a lot with the death of the Queen, where like mm-hmm. people are like, oh, we're rebels, and we don't need to be sad about the Queen, because I mean, don't be sad about the Queen because monarchy sucks, but like we knew that 1776, but like you got that whole thing about, it's like, oh, we're independent and we rebel and we fight back against all, so like that, what that also comes with, that American spirit thing requires basically a constant form of oppression. You need to fight against something, and so by creating this weird imaginary sense of like, if any time a woman is featured in something, they are trying to erase you as a male, you kind of create this ability for people to identify as this, oh, I'm fighting against this thing that wants to destroy me. And they have managed to export that now the same way we exported McDonald's. And now it's just sort of hitting this weird, it's not critical mass because there's so few people who, clearly all the strip clubs are in here for wokeness.
Could you imagine going through life like this?
No, I cannot.
How miserable must you be? Just day in and day out, just miserable.
They seem miserable.
Because you're just looking for something to give you misery every day. Yeah.
It's bizarre. You need to find it to justify your identity.
It's really nuts.
So, and like imagine like thinking, and some of this got triggered by when Rockstar removed the transphobic stuff from from the previous games.
Right.
I guess that was their favorite part. That was the
warm up.
Yeah. It's like it's just not GTA if it's not making fun of trans people, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would expect the discourse around this game to become as toxic as Last of Us 2 did.
Wow.
Because of that.
I'd be surprised with GTA.
Absolutely. You're going to have people that are just claiming that this is a watered-down, woke, go broke, like GTA pretender...
While they all buy it.
While they all buy it and spend, just like the Brie Larson thing, there's going to be like 5 videos a day about it because that's what sells. With all that same...
Gotta get on the outrage train.
Yeah, the same thumbnail. It's like, GTA destroyed by logic.
Matt, I would rather live broke in a cardboard box on the side of the highway than live my life that way. I really would.
It would be a freer existence.
I mean, it would just be a better existence.
Yeah.
It's like, no thank you.
At least you wouldn't have to listen to these fucking people.
Yeah, it's true. But anyway, the footage is winding down. These are the very last clips that we have from Grand Theft Auto 6, and probably the last clips that we're going to have for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there'll be trailers and things, but like when Rockstar's ready to share it. But yeah, I wouldn't expect that for a while.
Yep. So anyway, as promised, I just delivered you all the clips worth watching from Grand Theft Auto 6. It does appear that we have a couple questions in the chat that we're going to get to here. AJ the Legend Watson. So ultimately, what did the hacker gain from this? Well, right now...
15 minutes of fame.
He hasn't gained anything yet, but he is trying to extort Rockstar and Take-Two because...
Well, that already failed. Now he's trying to get people to send him Bitcoin in exchange for the source code.
Because he claims that he has the source code for both Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto 6. And there's value to that. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, there are definitely people who want to look at that, but I don't think anyone... he's like trying to sell it to like other developers and publishers, and I'm like... Yeah, I feel like they probably don't want to get brought up on charges, so you're probably not going to get a lot of takers on that one.
Well, the sale could go through no problem. The thing is the person who's buying it can't really repurpose the code because they'll get caught. So...
Like, the only thing to do would be, like, to study it.
Right.
To see how
Rockstar's doing certain things and then apply that to your knowledge base.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of that is really a mystery.
Replicable. Because if it's built into Rockstar's proprietary engine, how does it work in your engine? Does it not?
Yeah, like you're trying to replicate some of this stuff in Unreal 5, and to be honest, you're probably already able to replicate most of that in Unreal 5.
Yeah.
Like, Epic has thought of a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, GTA is one of the prime suspects for something people are going to want to duplicate features from, so a lot of those features, even if they're not done exactly the same way that Rockstar did them, are going to be in most game engines.
Don't forget also that CD Projekt Red has an agreement with Epic and Unreal Engine to help build the engine for open world games. It's a partnership that those two have together, and so,
there's really not a lot of appeal to taking that risk.
Yeah, there's not.
So it doesn't surprise me he has no takers.
Yep.
It's not like there's a lot of love for Rockstar in the industry outside of respect for what they've achieved in game design, but like, I don't think you're going to get anyone who's willing to do that. Put all that stuff, all that on the line. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
But to your question, if he fails to sell this, and he could find someone to sell it to, let's be honest,
like
there's a lot of rich people out there, man.
Yeah, like maybe Elon wants that instead of Twitter today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, somebody like that maybe will buy it. But if he falls short of selling it to someone, then he really has gained nothing from this at all, other than notoriety. And we didn't even mention his name. So... And that's how we roll here.
Yeah,
people do stuff that's illegal. We're not going to mention their name. And,
I don't even know his name.
Yeah,
So.
well, we're not mentioning it. It is in our notes here. Well, actually, you don't have my notes, but I'm not going to mention the guy's name. Why would I? Because always he's either looking for money or notoriety.
We'll all know his name once the cops break his door down.
Once he gets arrested. So. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, to answer your question, really nothing. Like, I feel like this kid is just a mischief maker, and he's just, like, trying to see what he can get away with, and he hit the mother lode this time. But he has no place to go with what he got from it. So, and most of the stuff is out there anyway. I just ran it in our show for free. He didn't make a penny off of us. So yeah, I don't think that there is any reason for him to do it other than the notoriety.
Yeah, the audacity is impressive, but you suspect some of it is because he just didn't understand the scope of the situation.
It just shows you how simple sometimes it can be.
And he seems like weirdly surprised that it got so big. It's just like, it's GTA.
Like, it's the biggest video game ever, dude. Like, of course, he would have done it if he didn't know it was going to be big.
Yeah, but he was like there was an element of like, oh, I didn't realize we were going to get like mainstream coverage and stuff. I was like, yeah, it's GTA.
Okay.
Everybody reports on GTA.
Very goosey. I can't believe Sifted is woke, even just mentioning women. Sheesh. That's kind of where we're at this point.
Pretty much.
With that certain segment of people.
And I've noticed the people they'll use woke as a replacement for a slur they want to use.
No.
When they say that Disney has cast a woke actress as the Little Mermaid,
that means the actress is a person of color.
Yeah, you know what woke means there.
A minority. Yep. Vincent asks, do you think Rockstar will accelerate its marketing plan a bit because of this leak? I'm not sure what he's going for there.
I don't know what they haven't even released a trailer yet. The marketing plan hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. I don't think they really need to worry about that too much.
This
GTA. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Just handled the first round of marketing for them.
All they need to do is put the logo up on their Twitter, and they're going to get talked about for 5 days.
Seriously.
So, it doesn't matter.
The logo or the box art for Grand Theft Auto 6 will be the biggest story of the day.
If there is one thing that is bulletproof in this industry, it is GTA 6, ironically enough. So they can do whatever they want.
Minority Games, do thick thighs save lives? I don't know. Cinetyke, these hacks are not constructive to be sure, meaning it's not going to help the game become better in any way, I'm guessing.
No, or anything. What does it accomplish? Nothing, really.
Yeah. Rockstar could look at the feedback.
It just poisons the discourse on the game early so that the trolls can get their ducks in a row, so when they actually do start marketing it, they can be ready with all their bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know. I do think Rockstar can maybe take some feedback from fans that they're getting watching this footage. This is like a really early focus group test for Rockstar. And obviously you have to sift through the idiots and to get to the real people who really care about your product and really care about making your product better, and versus just the angry people. But I do think there might be some value in that for Rockstar, but not as much that would make this okay, I guess is the best way to put it. It's not enough to rationalize all this information getting out there, particularly the source code for the last 2 GTA games. That's really the big one for Rockstar. That is what's probably keeping Rockstar and Take-Two awake at night through all of this. So, biggest leak ever, Matt?
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah.
That Nintendo leak was pretty huge.
The Nvidia
a lot of it
leak
was after the fact.
Yeah.
And Nvidia leak was more like just like general info.
But it's all ended up being right.
Yeah, but like the source code of a major game is probably
the biggest
thing.
game.
Yeah.
The biggest game of all time. Yeah. I would say it's probably the biggest leak in the history of the games industry. And that's saying something because we get leaks every week now. It's really crazy. It really feels like people have let their guard down as far as like sharing information about things.
Well, some of this I think is kind of part of the distributed workplace, the work from home thing, where it's hard to
That's true.
Everything.
Now you're sharing assets to people's bedrooms.
Yeah, everything's got to be out there available to the world and not just on an intranet somewhere. Yeah. So.
Yep. Big story, no doubt about it. To answer the question I asked you as to whether it increases my interest in the game or decreases it, I hate to admit it, but it does decrease my interest in the game a little bit just because there wasn't something obvious there that kind of is going to set the world on fire. Then again, Matt, you're right.
But it is going to set the world on fire because it's GTA.
Well, because it's GTA. But I mean, like, as far as like there being like this big thing, like, oh my god, I can't believe they're doing that type.
Yeah, but
thing.
what would that have been at this stage?
Well, that's what they're paid to do. I mean, we're not Rockstar.
Right, but at this stage, what would that have been? Like,
if I knew that, I'd be worth $1 trillion.
But what I'm saying is, all these footage is basically walking around, getting on the ground, shooting things, testing animation, getting in and out of cars, like. They weren't testing anything that would have been part of whatever new systems they have in this, other than the flattening themselves on the ground.
I get that the game could come out and it could have all this stuff. I'm just saying, not seeing it definitely dampened my interest a little
I just think that's weird because I wouldn't expect to see anything like that. Like, those kind of high-level concepts are not going to be in this kind of early footage.
There could be hints at it in the text and the copy and the stuff in the menus.
Well, you got the skunk ape. What else do you want?
That's all I'm going to get, apparently. But obviously, when the game is ready to be played and shown, I'm going to be all over it. I'm going to be very excited to check it out. So overall, it really didn't impact me all that much. But if I had to choose, I would say it just lowered my expectations a little bit. But again, don't read too much into all this stuff, into all this footage we just showed you. Well, if you're watching the archive, you weren't able to see it anyway. But I would not read into this stuff. You can find this stuff out there, by the way. Like, if you're watching a show and you're pissed off that we blacked out the footage, you can go out and find it. Just Google it, and it'll pull up. Like,
the internet, nothing ever dies.
Yeah, I mean, there's, like, for instance, I got it from, like, some offshore website or whatever where Rockstar can't tell them to take stuff down. And you can probably find that website, too, and get the footage yourself. So, however, I did do a lot of work sorting through all that footage because there's a lot. There's 90 clips overall, and probably 60-70% of them are just trash and not worth even watching. So I did do you guys a service for the people who showed up to watch our show live at twitch.tv/siftedgames. Okay, anything else, Matt, you want to add before we move on?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's move. We're going to talk next about a little show called Tokyo Game Show that used to be a much bigger deal than it is now, Matt. It's the first time they've had a real in-person Tokyo Game Show since 2019, and initial data from the show itself says that the audience was down 47% from 2019. Their total numbers, when you see them, seem good. I think it was like 130,000 people came through, until you realize that that's one day at Tokyo Game Show normally.
Yeah.
So the numbers were basically cut in half as far as in-person attendance. And if you watch any of the clips from the show floor, it was like lots of masks. Like, it felt like rolling back in time here, like 9 or 10 months ago. Japan's still in
a lot of COVID management period, so part of it is that.
Well, the other thing too is that they've been wearing masks for a century now in Japan?
Yeah, it's been more of a cultural thing to wear masks.
Like, if you get a cold in Japan, you don't just go out of the house, you put on a mask. And it's been that way for decades. Ever since I've been going to Japan, it's been that way. And I'll admit, the first time I went there and got in the subway and saw a few people scattered around the train with masks on, I was like, whoa, like, what's going on? And then after you're there for like a day, you realize that's just the way their culture is, which made it so weird for me then whenever everything happened with COVID to watch people rebelling against wearing masks. It's like if you had just ever gone to Japan, you'd have a completely different perspective on this thing. But
no, they wouldn't, because they're ignorant Americans.
Really? You think? No. Like, anybody, if they go to Japan and they're there for 5 days and they see that everyone's wearing masks because they don't want to pass their cold or whatever on to other people, like, I think that it would have made a difference for a lot of people. Not everybody.
Not the people who rebelled against it.
Really?
No. Those were just, almost everyone who rebelled against the mask thing was just the usual "fuck you, got mine, don't care about other people" thing. Like, that was the problem. Is an empathy disconnect. It's not empathy disconnect and a lack of understanding of science. But they don't care if they get anyone sick. Yeah. That's the problem. It's not that they don't understand that. It's that they don't care.
That's possible. Yeah.
Like, that was what was made very clear in a number of arguments with these people.
I felt like they just didn't like being told what to do.
There's some of that, too.
I felt like that was the core of it all. They're like, you can't tell me what to do. No, we actually do tell you what to do all the time.
But then, like, you're like, well, we're telling you what to do because this is how you're going to not get someone sick and possibly kill them. And they're
like, well, I don't care about that.
But the main justification was to not. That's why they wear them in Japan. Is when you're sick, you wear it so you're not breathing on other people to get them sick.
Right.
And most of the people that rebelled against that don't care about other people.
Yeah.
Or at least not the people that aren't their direct family. Yeah. So that was part of the problem.
Yeah.
It's a cultural difference. There is a more of a more of a collective culture in Japan.
We're a bunch of sociopaths.
Yeah, pretty much.
Tokyo Game
Rugged
Show.
individualism leads to not giving a shit about whether the other person on the subway gets sick from you.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yep.
And it's not right, and it sucks, but that's where we are.
Yeah. Tokyo Game Show used to be a gigantic deal that could easily float an hour-long discussion on any podcast. Now,
used to justify a 2-week trip to Japan
with like 20 of us,
like a bunch of it.
Yeah, we would roll there with G4 thick with like 20 or 30 people to cover.
And it was
Tokyo
one of the
Game Show.
loudest places I've ever been.
Yeah.
I remember the first year I was there, we had to get like one last few sets of shots on like day 2 or 3, and so Ryan Vance sent me back in to get B-roll, whatever, and I remember standing in front of those double doors and having to kind of like steel myself to walk back into that giant concrete hangar where it was just sound, like it was walking into a wall of sound.
It
was
can be overwhelming after a while. TGS wears you out for sure.
It was right. And then
you also are traveling like an hour.
Yeah, we took like an hour and a half. We stayed like at a nice place, but it was like an hour and a half away from Akahari Mesa, and it was just,
so we were always taking the train but we have to get up really early to get there on time. And
then the worst part was when you got to Tokyo Station, you had to do like a switch that was like from one train to another train on the other side of the station, which is like a mile and a half.
It was like more like 2 miles underground. And it was just
like,
it was bizarre.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was brutal. And then one year we finally we're just gonna switch hotels.
Finally, we're going to stay out by Makuhari.
Because we'd shoot other episodes just in Tokyo, and then like we're like, okay, when we're going to TGS, we'll just switch to one near the convention center. And oh my god, it changed our lives.
It does. You can get up like right before you have to be there, and
like we're like, why did we do this for so long that way?
Because being in Tokyo is awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, TGS has, I mean, not just because of the COVID pandemic, it had been falling in stature for a while before COVID hit.
It basically became a mobile game show at one point.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it had a bit of a resurgence other than for just the fact that they did it in person this year. But content-wise, it did kind of fall in line with what we were getting pre-2019, where there's a few big stories based around Japanese games, but not a lot of Western penetration there at all, though Xbox did go, and Phil Spencer was there, and he did some interviews with the Japanese press, which is good.
Yes, for the most part, Vincent, TGS always had the first day was always media day.
Yeah.
And then
the first day was just us, and then the next 2 days were just madness. So you tried to get everything done
you could
on the first day.
You saved the other days were done. We did host wraps up on the balconies and shot the crowd, and
people were there when you needed the action.
Yeah, because on the first day you try to get all the business with the hands-on stuff.
You do the interviews, you play the games, you get through the lines, all that kind of stuff. And this year, kind of the same deal. There's a handful of stories that we're going to talk about from Tokyo Game Show. Nothing like mind-bendingly, mind-blowing, really. First up, we did get a ton of information on Street Fighter 6. We have the final roster of fighters for the launch version of the game. There's going to be 18 characters available at the start. We also found out that a closed beta is coming October 7th through the 10th. That will include 8 playable characters and multiple modes. However, it will be next-gen only. Capcom also announced a mode called Extreme Battle Mode that basically lets you customize your matches with all these weird and wacky variants and options. And then, other than debuting the opening roster in this trailer, Ken was kind of the featured playable character at Tokyo Game Show. They put out gameplay of him. They let people play as Ken, which, as you all know, is basically just a Ryu clone, with subtle differences between the two guys.
They're pretty drastically different these days.
Do you think so?
Oh yeah, they play. You got to play Ken very differently from Yo.
Yeah,
Ryu.
I'd agree with that. But they still have a lot of the same moves.
Well, they're Shotos, so they got their fireball and their, but those all behave differently too.
Yeah, the timing's a little bit different. Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I always played Ken instead of Ryu, so there you go. Why? Because they're different. They're not exactly the same. Any surprises in that 18 character lineup for you, Matt? Anything that you're missing, or you were surprised that they included?
For a while I was like, oh, that's surprising. I was surprised that they had shown all the originals except Zangief. But then he showed up in this.
Yep, he's in this. Yeah. So yeah, the original 8 all there. My guess is that beta is just the original 8.
Oh, I think they'll be new.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. Because there's people who don't care about the original 8 and want to see new characters. So
really?
There'll be new characters for sure.
Yeah, I guess not everyone's as old as me. A lot of people may prefer the new characters over the original 8. I'm like the same with Pokemon. Like the original 150 are really all I care about. The rest are just like, I like some of them, but for the most part, not as much as the originals. And then they showed off a lot more of the single-player mode that you're seeing here, which is kind of this weird, almost Punch-Out style like campaign where you create your own character and you start rising through the ranks of Street Fighter. I mean, let's be honest, it's got to be better than what they've had for single-player in the past. It can't really be worse. You don't think?
We'll see.
You think it's possible?
Creative fighter stuff is tricky.
It is. The costuming and all that kind of stuff.
And what the moves are, and do they feel generic? Do they feel like their own character? Do they feel like what are you doing with that? Are you doing a Soul Calibur style where you just choose a move set and graft it onto a custom body, or you picking the moves? Like that doesn't usually work too well. Are you gonna do like a generic character like Mortal Kombat used to do? Like there's a lot of questions there.
Vincent says closed beta roster is Ryu, Chun-Li, Luke, Jamie, Guile, Kimberly, Yuri, and Ken.
So a couple new,
but mostly OGs. That's actually a good mix. I think that makes sense. Some people in the chat are saying, why only 18 characters? WWE has 130 characters.
WWE sucks.
It does. It's poorly balanced, and the people who play it aren't as discerning as the people who play Street Fighter.
Also, how differentiated are all those characters?
They all have like one unique move or two unique moves, probably.
Like, whereas these characters are all completely different.
Yeah, every move they do is unique, except for Ken and Ryu. But as we said earlier,
Ken and Ryu are from a similar template, but they are not remotely similar.
Yeah.
So, like, even their normals are completely different at this point.
Yeah.
So, those are completely different designed characters. Balancing Ryu and balancing Ken has got to be done separately because they're not the same.
Yeah, it's definitely two different jobs, no doubt about it. Any of the characters?
I do think it's funny how they're leaning so hard into the cutesy Blanca thing when that was like Ono's thing and he's gone.
Oh right. It still shakes me that Ono's not working on these games anymore. It's pretty crazy. Any characters that stood out for you, either for looking especially good or looking especially bad?
I think Ken looks interesting. I like how Kimberly looks. And I like Guile has usually been my guy. So
he's your main
usually. But you never know. Like Guile changes drastically from game to game pretty often, and so I don't know how I'll feel about him in this. I didn't like him in 5 very much.
Okay.
So we'll see. But Kimberly, I think, is the most interesting to me because she seems to fit the theme the best. Like, she's got the graffiti thing, which is
I love her. I haven't even got to play her yet, and I already love her.
So she'd probably be the first one I try.
Yep. I'm excited for this. This is the most I've been excited for Street Fighter since, well, probably 4, I guess. 5 never got me hype. I don't know if it came too quickly after 4.
5 was so piecemeal and launched so it was weird.
It was weird.
It was like this. It was like trying to like Street Fighter 4 just like was like a drag racer, just like took off from the start. And Street Fighter 5 was like trying to like sit in somebody's Pinto while they figured out how to drive manual. Like it was really
the
bad.
Pinto. Don't hit it from behind.
No. And like eventually they got it someplace, but by that point it was sort of over, and like you couldn't get anyone to come play together. It was just sort of if you weren't into the tournament scene or playing online all the time, Street Fighter 5 never really got off the ground.
Yeah.
And the arcade stuff and all that stuff didn't really do anything for me. The single player modes didn't really do anything for me because I don't care about the story of Street Fighter. I'm sorry. Like, they've never had an interesting story. The characters are archetypes. The characters are fun in and of themselves. But I don't care about the narrative of the world of Street Fighter. It's just a fighting game tournament. Just like let it be. I don't,
Everyone in chat now is announcing their mains. You inspired everyone to share their mains. I am a Ken and an E Honda guy. Those are my 2 mains that I play as most often. The people in chat are like all sharing their ones. Emperor Dread says, Ken greater than Ryu. I will die on this hill.
Well,
Kevin Rafa asked...
That depends on the game.
Yeah. Kevin Rafa asks our favorite TGS moment of all time. That's a tough one.
I don't know.
I mean, I just think being in Japan for TGS are the
all my
TGS
moments. Moments are things I can't tell you about.
Yeah. Yeah, I have had some moments in Japan for Tokyo Game Show that, hey, I won't share with anybody. You go out with the Japanese, it's a different night out in the town. That's all I'm going to say. And it's a fun night out in the town. But I don't know.
Do a head count.
Yeah. Going out to the alleyway every year to check out the cosplay. That's a big highlight for me.
The breezeway.
Yeah. In between, like, they have like a walkway between the two main convention hangars, as Matt called them, and that's where all the cosplayers hang out. And cosplay was gigantic there way before it started getting big here. So I would always go out there and check out the cosplay, and that was
a whole different level.
Oh yeah,
back then.
Oh yeah.
Now you see that pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Back then it was
Japan
just like,
only.
Like that was where you'd see people with like the wings, the Sephiroth wings that actually opened.
Yeah.
And things like that. I remember the first time I think I saw that like just around at a Western convention, American convention, was at PAX.
Yeah.
PAX East.
That's where it started really
PAX
taking off.
East 2011. One girl was dressed as Morgana from League of Legends in the Baker outfit, and she had working wings. And I'd never seen anything like that outside of Japan.
Yeah, then Comic-Con started like picking it up after a while, but man,
that girl's probably like 40 now.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It is amazing. But Japan, it all started, man. So like seeing the first really good cosplay there, that was always a highlight for me.
Yeah,
for sure. And just eating, like there's a pork cutlet restaurant across the street from Makuhari Messe that I still thirst for.
Yeah, that place that Justin Keeling took us.
Yes, delicious frickin' pork cutlets that I still.
It's just in like a mall on like the 5th floor.
Yeah.
It's like it's nothing. You sit there like, this is the most amazing katsu pork I've ever had. Like it's
dude, the breading on it was like
perfect.
That
like
thick.
The sauce is amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
Anyway, go to Japan if you can.
Yeah, Japan. The food in Japan. Almost all my greatest Japan memories are food related. Like it was just the ramen that Adam found.
Yeah.
With all the pictures of Godzilla on the wall.
Yeah.
That's
still there. By the way.
Fish market, like at like 4 a.m. on Sunday, like just the freshest sushi you'll ever have.
Yep.
Just
straight
incredible.
out the water. Yep. Emperor, let's see. Wait, I'm going to announce all your mains. AJ the Legend Watson. I've always been a Blanca guy. Matter of fact, Ken here as well. Kevin Rafa, Blanca. The Big Smoke 82, Rio / Ken, LOL. Barry Lomax, I'm upset Sea Viper isn't in it yet. Give it time. Like, that'll happen. Very Gooster, Ken. A lot of Kens. I'm kind of surprised by that. Shneaky says MK greater than Street Fighter. Them there's fighting words. Those are fighting words, actually. Are there any other ones? Nope. Those are all your mains. Okay. So anyway, a big blowout for Street Fighter. I think it's looking pretty darn good, and I'm pretty darn excited for it. I'll just put it to you that way. Next up, Resident Evil Village Shadows of Rose DLC. Pretty much got all the details. The big story that Capcom shared was when this DLC is released and everyone has played through it, that will be the end of the Ethan Winters family saga. So Resident Evil is turning the page. There's going to be new protagonists, I'm guessing, that will lead
back to Chris.
Yeah, that will. It may be, because I mean he's a part of this story anyway. But yeah, so if you have enjoyed your time with the Winters family, and I've really enjoyed all of the games that starred Ethan. It's time to turn the page. They're moving on. This DLC has 3 pillars to it. There's like a third-person mode. There's the DLC, the Shadows of Rose DLC, which is a story-based content, which again closes the saga on the Winters family. And then what is the third one? Is it like new mercenary stuff, I think?
Maybe. I didn't.
But there's basically 3 pillars.
When they got to multiplayer, I kind of tuned out.
Yeah.
But third person might make me go back to it. That's one of my only real issues is I don't like the first person.
A Village.
A Village.
Yeah.
Or 7, for that matter.
It looks like they've done a lot of work on it.
Yeah.
It's not just like we're just going to pull the camera back and show you the character model now. So there's more to
stuff
it than
happening
that.
here.
Yeah. Overall, it feels like this DLC in general is pretty meaty. Yeah. And definitely worth checking out when it's finally ready to come out. And I did not write down the release date for it, and that is my mistake. But I do think it's coming pretty soon. Did she use like a box right there to attack those?
She's like a freeze power, yeah.
With like a magical like Pandora's box or something?
Yeah, it was like something like a music box or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. So Mercenaries additional orders. That was the third pillar, so I had it right. I'm pretty excited for this. I hardly ever get excited for DLC. Also, you can play as Lady Dimesk.
Of course you can.
Putting your lipstick on, drinking your wine, and everything looks puny. Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know. This DLC looks pretty hot, man. Vincent says October 28th, right in time for Halloween. So not too much longer to wait, about a month and a half. I'm going to give this a go. I'm pretty excited for it.
I'll try it again in third person.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll play the whole thing again. I'll play the DLC, and then I'll try
I'll get to the Lady Dimitrescu stuff and then see if I care beyond that.
There you go.
Just like I did the first time.
Yep. So anyway, that's Resident Evil Village of Shadows, Resident Evil Village Shadows of Rose DLC, again coming October 28th. Next up, a huge shift in the Yakuza franchise, which is now no longer called Yakuza.
Yeah, they're using the Japanese title now.
Yep, it is now called, even in the West, Like a Dragon, which is what it's been called in Japan for a really long time. Why do you think they ever decided to go with the Yakuza name for the West?
Because it was easier to explain. It was a shorthand for what it was about to a Westerner. You know, we know what that is. It was like, oh, Japanese mafia. So,
yeah.
Cool. Like that. But now you don't really need that because it's got its own identity. And the word is not considered very polite in Japan. So
yeah, you don't say that word really out loud in Japan.
So Like a Dragon is a more to them a more accurate. And you know, now they already called the last one Yakuza Like a Dragon, so now that's the obvious transition.
Now the subtitle is the title.
Now they could call this whatever the hell they want, because I'm just happy Ishin is finally making it to the West. It's the only major title that's never come here.
Yeah.
I have a Japanese version of it that Albert Iskander brought me from one of his Japan trips for TGS that I didn't go on, which I can't really play it because it's all in Japanese. Hard to play a Yakuza game in Japanese. But he got it for me because he knew I wanted a complete set.
Yeah.
Which was very kind of him.
He's a good guy.
He is. But now they're doing a remake, and we'll be able to get it in the West finally, which is great.
So this samurai
and
based...
apparently this is entirely because of Ghost of Tsushima.
Really?
They said that Ghost of Tsushima's success is what convinced them that Ishin would do adequately in the West.
Huh. Interesting.
So thank you, Ghost of Tsushima and Sucker Punch, for finally getting me this game, one of my holy grail games in English.
Yep. This is Like a Dragon Ishin. It is coming in February 2023, and as Matt said, it is based around the samurai, and it has never been released in the West. So it's a pretty big deal, and probably a good way to announce that you're completely changing the name of your franchise going forward.
Yeah.
But that is coming pretty soon in February 2023, early next year. Another game for early next year. And then Sega also teased the next entry in the Yakuza franchise, Like a Dragon 8. This is just a teaser. It just shows a couple characters from the series. Sega also announced that going forward...
It's funny how that is an iconic thing now, that gate in the
That's all it takes, to know exactly what it is. Sega also shared that going forward, the series will alternate between combat styles, meaning hand-to-hand, action-based combat, and turn-based combat, depending on their ideas, basically. If they come up with a great idea for a game that's turn-based, it'll be turn-based. If they come up with a more action-based approach, it'll be more fisticuffs and beat-em-up style. So I think that's good.
Old Kiryu.
I think that satisfies the old fans and the new fans, and it gives them leeway.
I think having more options in how you do it and how you tell the story is always better.
Always a good thing. Absolutely, I agree.
And it keeps that team from getting bored.
Yeah. Does it bother you at all that they've changed the name of the franchise? Do you think it'll hurt the franchise at all?
No.
With sales or anything? You think people will figure it out?
This is a bit of a niche franchise anyway. People who know it will find it.
Yeah.
And they've already called the last one that. So
Like a Dragon's already...
You're going to be able to follow it. And then, again, you just keep throwing Kiryu's face up there, and everyone's going to know who that is.
People will recognize. Yeah, absolutely.
His ancestor or whatever is in the Restoration period one. And
yeah. Overall, do you think it was a good move to change the name, or does it not even matter?
I don't think it matters. Like, if that's what they want to do to unify everything, like, that makes sense to me. I mean, the studio's literally called that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you might as well.
Yep, I totally get it. Next up.
I don't think they had a lot of control over it being called Yakuza in the West back when it was originally localized. So.
No, I don't think so either. Yep. Next up, a franchise that Matt and I have talked about, I think the last couple episodes of GameFace, and that is Suikoden. Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remasters are coming to current gen platforms next year.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. Finally.
With new English translations, which means they'll probably finally fix that weird glitch, which meant that your character didn't import right from 1 to 2.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot that was even a feature. It's been so long.
You can import that guy in the headband, to the second game, and he can be one of your 108 Stars of Destiny.
Yep.
But the problem was his canon name is something like Tyr McDool or something like that, and you can name him whatever you want, in the first game, and if you whatever you and if some glitch in the English or how the import worked combined with the English translation, whatever you named him in the first game, when you imported him to the English version of the second game, his name would show up as Mick whatever your name was.
Yep.
So I named him I think I named him like Thwack or something like that. So my in Suikoden 2 that character showed up named Mick Thwack, which is silly.
That's pretty.
Or maybe actually I think it shortened it because there was only so many characters, so it might have been McThwa.
Oh.
So I'm assuming that feature will work properly now.
Yes, I would guess that it would.
That was a source of some comedy, but it was back then there was a lot of talk of like, what do you name the character in the first game so the import name doesn't seem stupid?
Yeah. One thing I'm not sure about, Matt, are both of these coming as one package, or
they seem to be one package?
Okay,
yeah.
so you're not going to buy them separately.
No, but I'm curious how much they're going to cost.
Right.
Like I feel like this is going to end up being $40. Which is fine
I think
for me.
that's okay.
I think Suikoden 2 is one of the greatest JRPGs of all time.
A lot of people feel that way. Yeah.
And one is not as good, but one is actually pretty short. Like you can burn through one in a day.
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing. And I do think it helps to play it first because it kind of introduces a lot of stuff about the world that makes more sense because Suikoden 2 is a war story between two sides and a more character-driven story. But like, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the first one that kind of is revisited in the second one and resonates more if you know that. But these are great. These are great games.
Yeah, people seem to be pretty confident that Konami will do a good job on these. I'm not sure why that is.
The team on this is very dedicated.
Okay.
They've kind of assembled a team of fans, it seems.
Okay.
So I think it'll be okay.
All right.
Also, there's no fog to screw up like in
right.
Silent Hill 2, so we should be okay.
Yeah.
And then they talked about how like there's teams at Konami that want to make more Suikodens. Now, the rumor is that this happened very fast as soon as they saw how much that Suikoden-alike Kickstarter made and realized, like, oh, people want... Yeah, no
Ayuden
shit,
Chronicle.
dude. Like, yeah, Ayuden Chronicles... so apparently that got kicked into gear there. And so with the other Kickstarter recently, maybe we'll start to see some Shadow Hearts and Wild Arms action.
Yeah.
But until then, Suikoden is of all the... I mean, I would love to see a decent Castlevania again. But Suikoden, I'll take it. Yeah. Suikoden and Castlevania are the two Konami franchises I would like to see resurrected the most.
Yeah.
Sorry, Metal Gear. You never really did it for me.
Well, I think if people watch GameFace, they know how we feel about Metal Gear.
Yeah. And there's others I'd be interested in. But like,
definitely not Kojima fanboys, to say the least.
Those are the two I would be most excited about. And this is something, look, if all we ever get is remasters of 1 and 2, fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. One of the announcements that struck me as odd because of the venue is Star Wars Eclipse. For some reason, was one of the big stories at Tokyo Game Show, and the big story around it is that it's actually not just a choose-your-own-adventure game. It is an action-adventure game. Quote...
Definitely trust Quantic Dream to do that.
The quote direct from Quantic Dream reads, quote, in addition to a very strong story, there will be action-based... there will be action in addition to a very strong story, very strong characters, multiple playable characters, and of course, giving the players the possibility to change through their actions and decisions how the story unfolds.
Did you manage to hire anyone yet?
Yeah. When do you realistically think that this is going to release, Matt?
Never.
Never?
I don't think this game is ever coming out.
Really?
If it does, it'll be 5 years.
Do you find it weird that they're talking about it at TGS 2022?
It is a little weird.
Yeah. I was like, what is going on here? Like,
I don't know. Especially since D23 just happened and had a whole presentation about video games, and they didn't mention it.
And didn't include it. It's bizarre. I don't know. It feels like they're maybe
I don't think this game's going to happen.
Interesting.
And if it does, I think it's probably next gen.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking 2025, 2026, maybe somewhere around there.
At most.
Yeah.
Like, in general, I think the High Republic setting is going to run its course by then because they don't seem to be supporting it very well. I don't see this. I don't see this actually happening.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if they can't get the Rogue Squadron movie made, and like they took off the schedule this past week, like,
no, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, part of that was because Patty Jenkins. There was a problem there, and Wonder Woman 84 sucked, and there's a whole bunch of things there. But it's like, if you can't get Star Wars Top Gun made,
right.
which is maybe the most obvious idea in the entire franchise, especially on the heels of Top Gun Maverick becoming like the 5th biggest movie of all time, if you can't just make me a movie about Rogue Squadron, about just X-Wing pilots shooting TIE fighters down, about like, I don't know, Biggs defecting to the rebellion, or like whatever, or Wedge having to come out of retirement to train a bunch of like New Republic recruits to take like one last shot against the Imperial Remnant, or building like a skeletal Death Star somewhere on the Outer Rim. Like, the fucking thing writes itself, and you can't get that made. There's no way this thing gets done. Come on. Like,
well, my guess is that Quantic Dream had to pay a pretty penny for this license, so it would be a monumental screw up if they got nothing out.
I don't think they paid for the license. I think they're hired.
Really?
That's how LucasArts used to do it, is they would hire people to do their ideas.
Interesting.
And that seems to be how Lucasfilm Games internally is working now.
It does seem to be that way.
I don't think anyone's buying the license. I think people saying, like, we want to make a game like this, and that we think you're the team to do it. And then they fuck it up, and it doesn't happen. It's like the KOTOR remake. Like, now apparently that's back on track, but they've had to start over because the Aspire was steering them the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I think some of that, that's a problem. That doesn't happen when someone pays you for a license. That happens when you hire a contractor.
Yeah.
Like that's the issue there.
Yep.
So I think that's what's happening there. And clearly that CG trailer is put together as like a hype machine. But like, I will be very surprised if that game comes out.
Okay.
And I'm not just saying it because I absolutely do not care about Quantic Dream's take on Star Wars. I really don't think that is... So many Star Wars projects at this point do not make it to fruition unless it's like Disney Plus. And even then, you shoot your mouth off long enough, instead of starring in, the Rangers of the New Republic, you're going to end up in a Breitbart movie. So, like, watch your mouth.
Well, one thing I would say is...
Don't say stupid shit.
Anything Star Wars related, I trust you on.
So I will be very shocked if this game ever comes out.
Okay. And then the final thing we're going to talk about from Tokyo Game Show 2022, no surprise, is Sonic Frontiers. And the big thing that was kind of shown off at TGS 2022 is Super Sonic, who has been an alter ego used sparingly in his previous games, usually under very specific circumstances. Here, Super Sonic appears to just be a part of the moment-to-moment gameplay. And also, he appears to be essential to boss fights. Mm-hmm. It appears that if you didn't have Super Sonic, you wouldn't be able to fight the bosses in the game. So he appears he's going to be a much bigger deal in this game. Any objections to that, Matt?
No, I don't care.
Does it even matter?
I believe it or not, I am not one of the people who cares about Sonic lore. Myth, like, I don't know.
Who does?
Lots of people.
Really?
Oh, the internet very much cares.
Silly. It's silly. But I will say this: every peek I get at this game gets me a little bit more excited for it. I am. My mind is completely open to play it. I guess that's what next month now at this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll wait until I see how it feels.
Yeah.
To play it, like, that's going to be the key. That's the key with all these 3D Sonic games is, what's it feel like to play it? Is it going to be slippery and slidey, or is it going to feel like you're in control? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah. So. Yep. And that's Tokyo Game Show 2022. I know it's pretty sad that that's what it's come down to at this point. And I would argue that was probably better than 2019.
Yeah, there was some stuff I cared about in there.
Yeah, which is kind of out of the ordinary for TGS at this point. It really sucks to see what it's become. Now, again, a lot of it is because of the pandemic, and Japan much more nervous about viral outbreaks and things like that. It's a different culture there. And so I definitely think that hurt the attendance at Tokyo Game Show. But the show happens regardless of how many people show up or do not show up for the event. So that's not going to change just because 47% of the people showed up. The schedule is what it is. They showed what they were going to show. So it's just kind of lost its punch over the last decade, really. It's really been
but some of it's also just the COVID stuff in Japan is still.
Well, I remember the last year we went to Tokyo Game Show to cover it live for Game Trailers was 2012, and we got there and we whooped the show's butt in a day. And like we were supposed, we had fixers that were taking us there, and we kept going back, but like we were just scraping the bottom of the barrel after one day at the show. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't think we'll ever come back here again. And then it never did, because then ultimately I left, and then Game Trailers washed out and went to Defy and blah, blah, blah. So that was the last year that we went, and it was not worth the money that we spent to go there. So I don't know if it would ever be worth the money to go there again, unless you just want to go and just enjoy Tokyo in addition to going to a game show. I would definitely recommend, if you're going to go to Japan, like, try to plan it around TGS so you can also go do a day or two.
Plan it around TGS or Comic-Con.
Yeah. Because the other thing, too, is that TGS has 2 days for the public. It's literally designed for the public. So anybody...
The only downside of TGS is it's during Typhoon series.
It's really hot.
Yeah, it's hot and muggy. It can rain at any moment.
Be ready to sweat. Yep. But anyway, there you go. That's Tokyo Game Show 2022. Not a lot of big waves being made from there, but at least there were some. We're going to go from a Japanese event to a more Western event. And we're going to discuss something that happened as the show was happening last week. Unfortunately, we weren't able to talk about it live, but there was a huge Sony State of Play. Actually, it wasn't that big. I thought it was going to be bigger than it ended up being. I think it ultimately was like 25 minutes or something like that. But there was a State of Play while GameFace was happening last week, so we didn't get to discuss it. So we're a little late on this stuff, but it's big enough that I think we should talk about it on the show. First up, really mad, I feel like, the first big blowout of God of War Ragnarok. They released a story trailer for the game. Up until this trailer, almost everything about it was a mystery. And I would argue, too, that this trailer maybe shows a little too much.
Yeah.
It starts to get towards the end, and there's like a huge montage of just random clips, and I started seeing stuff that I maybe didn't want to see towards the end of this trailer.
They know what to show and what not to show.
That's true. They're very good about showing...
You didn't see the Blades of Chaos until you got to them in the game. They know.
But they show the Blades of Chaos in this.
Yeah, because they already has them.
Right, but they let you know now that they've become once again a part of his normal arsenal.
Right, but that happened halfway through the first game.
But so. I thought he put him back at the end of the last game. I thought he put him back under the floorboards at the end of the game.
He put him away, but I don't think...
So I think people were wondering, like, is that was just a one-off thing?
You can't have that be the big twist again.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, of course he's going to pull him out.
Yep. So he does have the blade.
So I'm sure whatever they've shown in here is not remotely is the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
Corey is very careful about that stuff.
Yeah.
It does seem like a lot, like what you see in this trailer. But I also know this team and this director to the point that, like, they wouldn't be showing that stuff if they didn't have more up their sleeve.
Yeah. I mean, if you slow this stuff down frame by frame, there's all kinds of stuff in here. Because it's just, every clip is like a second long, and it's like 2.5 minutes long. It's just, there's a lot. You can start digging into this. Like, I'm surprised there haven't been, like, a lot of, like, trailer analysis for this so far. Like, it's weird that people haven't really covered it, because there's a lot in here. It's just all kinds of crazy stuff happening. And we did glean a couple details from it. We're not going to share it all, because we don't want to spoil the game for you guys. But it does appear that Kratos and Atreus have some kind of a conflicting relationship with each other, even more so than in the last game. It appears that Atreus is hiding something from Kratos based upon some of the things that happen in this trailer. For example, like, there's one scene where he touches a tree and it glows. Atreus does. And then Odin pays him a visit in another scene. There's another shot where he's, like, holding, like, an artifact that says, like, one of the wolves from Ragnarok's name on it. And I think if you go to another trailer, it shows him holding a stone that has the other wolf from Ragnarok's name on it. So I don't know if eventually he gets to summon the wolves. I don't know. But there's...
Loki is... Loki Wolffather is a thing. So he has a kinship with wolves. Yeah.
Fenrir, who is destined... He's the main wolf. Yeah. Is destined to kill Odin during Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if part of it is you trying to keep Fenrir from killing Odin. I don't know. It's all a mystery, but there's a bunch of hints in this that kind of lead that way.
Well, that becomes the question of, like, well, are you, like, how much of mythology are they sticking to, and how much are they, change for their own story, which is, like, sort of the interesting thing about retellings of mythology is, you don't know. Like, you can change it however you want. It's, they did back in the day, and we can now. Yep. And, of course, there's still, I don't know if we've seen anything about the confrontation that is hinted at the end of the first game where Thor shows up at his door. Right. So we'll see how that goes.
That's true. Kevin Roffa asked, do you think we will fight Odin?
I don't see how we'd avoid doing it.
I mean, I don't know. It feels like you're on his side, or at least Atreus is on his side. It sounds like because he has
Kratos
to die.
Is on nobody's side.
Doesn't Odin have to die for Ragnarok to actually?
Oh yeah,
commence?
the death of all the Asgardians is the ultimate result of Ragnarok.
Right,
it's the end of their world, and you could argue that Kratos is that to all pantheons.
Right,
but and his son is going to play a key role in that.
One of the best parts of God of War from 2018 is the story. Because before that, this franchise had the worst stories, like the lowest common denominator, lowest hanging fruit.
Well, it was just the barest of stories you needed to justify him killing all the people he was killing.
Yeah.
That's it.
2018 was a huge departure for that. I love that it appears that direction is continuing.
Well, I don't see why it wouldn't.
Yeah.
That was the new team.
Yep.
Doing their thing.
Yep. So this game looks awesome. It's still on target for November 9th. That was the other thing that was very reassuring about this trailer is they reconfirmed the release date. I don't think any delays are going to happen at this point.
And there's a controller.
Yep.
Which I definitely am not going to buy. But
here it is. Pretty gaudy.
Yeah, not great.
Not very appealing. It's also pretty rare. Do you think they're just waiting to announce the console that matches it?
No, there won't be a console.
Really? You think it's just going to be the controller?
They can't even get the regular ones out. There's not going to be a PS5 to match this. No.
Huh. It seems weird to release a controller that's themed like that and not have the console to match. But really all you need, I guess, are purple plates.
Yeah.
And it would match. That's it. And they already have those. So I guess, really, you can build a console that will match the controller. But, yeah, the Howling Wolves there, I don't know.
Yeah.
The Wolves definitely have a lot to do with this game.
Yeah, I mean
that's probably the biggest takeaway of everything that was shown at the State of Play is the Wolves.
Wolves and Ragnarok are like
chocolate and peanut
carrots.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, if you want some hints on the story for this game, just look up some of the stuff behind Ragnarok related to the Wolves, and I think it'll get you onto the right path at the very least. Another game that was blown out in the State of Play, Tekken 8. We had got that goofy teaser trailer for it before. We didn't know if it was going to be called Tekken 8. It is called Tekken 8. IGN also had an exclusive interview about the game, and I'm going to share some information that was a part of that interview. It is curated on Sifted if you want to read it, and as always, when I cite information from something, I always recommend that you go and check out the source that I'm citing the information from because they did the work. This trailer is Kazuya and Jin battling in a storm, like along the ocean, like there's waves crashing and all this other crazy stuff going on. So once again, Jin is fighting against his father. It's the plot, according to the interview with IGN, just focuses more on the Mishima blood feud, which has really just been nonsense all along. But boy, do they take it seriously, Matt. It really is crazy how we look at the story in Tekken as a joke and something to make fun of, and they take it deathly serious. Mm-hmm. They think it's very important. They think the fans actually care about it. I'm just like, no. Dude, the stories in your games are a joke that we laugh at. We don't take them seriously, but they do. They are all over it. The entire franchise has been rebuilt for Unreal 5. Like, every character model, every effect, everything has been completely redone from scratch for Tekken 8, including the rain and the water effects and how they roll down the character models. All this stuff is happening in real time. Not only does water and stuff run down the character models, if the characters fall down on the ground, their clothing and their skin gets dirty, so it actually picks up debris and things from the environment that sticks then to the character models, which is pretty interesting. Guest characters are coming back. They haven't completely shared exactly what that means, but they talked about how they've worked with Nintendo on Smash Brothers and how they feel like that partnership has been great and they want to reciprocate that. It's not the first time that Tekken will have guest characters.
I think Akuma is definitely coming back.
Yeah, but they are already hinting that will be a thing for Tekken 8. And then some final notes, no rollback netcode. At least they're not willing to talk about it yet. It was brought up by IGN's journalist, and they didn't want to talk about it. So do you find that weird?
It is a little weird.
Yeah.
I think you'd think that'd be a priority, but maybe they just have maybe they're working on stuff before they want to talk about it.
It's possible.
Might be something you want to do a closed beta on before you start getting into.
Absolutely. Agreed. And then finally, there's no word on any mechanics changes or if the rage system will return. I don't know if you noticed in this trailer, there's this weird, like, muscular thing going on where they show muscles flex before they deliver blows. I don't know if that's some kind of a new mechanic that's going to be in the game. Usually when you have these elaborate, like, cinematic trailers, even though it may not be an engine, although I do believe this is an engine, by the way.
Yeah, it is an engine.
Even though sometimes they may not be, they will be hinting at features that are actually going to be in the game. And I have a feeling that that muscular thing that they're showing in this might be one of those things. I don't know. That's just a guess. Are you excited for Tekken 8?
No.
Are you surprised how big Tekken 7 became?
A little bit.
Me too. I really kind of thought the franchise was done.
It seemed done for a while.
And then
7 really... I mean, look, I'm not a Tekken fan, really.
You don't like to juggle, Matt?
No, I don't. I think it looks and feels stupid. But I will say that, I played Tekken 7 once it became really cheap. And it definitely feels the best of any of the Tekkens. I think it's smooth and it works. And I kind of got a little bit into it for a while.
It's esports has taken off.
It's more interesting to watch. I mean, I remember back when I first started doing the tournament stuff for G4 and stuff back in like 2008, 2009. The Tekken finals was when everyone went and got dinner.
Yeah,
like it was like, okay, it's time to all the 2D fighting people would be like you'd see like Justin Wong come up after that Tekken started and come up to all of us and be like, okay, let's go get dinner because Tekken's on. And that was basically what was happening. And
not anymore.
And now everybody wants to stay and watch Tekken because Tekken's exciting again. Like, Tekken 7 made Tekken exciting to watch.
Yeah.
So I think they've really turned it around. Even as someone who doesn't really care about Tekken, like I look at Tekken 7 and then Tekken 8, I'm just like, yeah, I get it. Like, it might not really be for me, but, like, I get it.
Yeah.
It's not a thing I could really say about Tekken before that.
Yep. And it's next-gen only, I should have mentioned, by the way.
Yeah, it was a little obvious.
By the way, when we mention Unreal Engine 5, 99 times out of 100, that means that it's next-gen only. That's just... It's a dog whistle, so to speak. But the fact is that old-gen consoles struggle to run Unreal Engine 5. So... anytime we bring up Unreal Engine 5, just assume that the game is probably going to be PS5 and Xbox Series only and PC, and that is the case with Tekken 8. Are you excited for it at all after learning some of this stuff, Matt?
No, but I'll look at it.
Yeah,
like I'll watch the grand finals at Evo. I probably will not play Tekken 8 to any great degree.
For most of my casual friends that still enjoy playing games, Tekken is their favorite fighting franchise. And that goes all the way back to Tekken, OG PlayStation.
No, I think that's pretty accurate from my experience too. In part because look, Tekken's very mash friendly. You can just whack some buttons and some cool shit comes out.
I bet you I can whoop your ass with Eddie Goro without looking at the screen.
I would be surprised by that.
Like, not you, but I think the most casual players, I can button mash Eddie Goro and whoop their ass.
He's very deceptive. Yes,
he's very easy to button mash and destroy with. Like. Yeah, I'm not the world's biggest Tekken fan, but it is kind of a fun, mindless fighter to play with your casual friends. Mm-hmm. So, and they love it. And Tekken 7 sold very well, and there's definitely a huge audience for it. So I anticipate Tekken 8 to do very well as well. Next up, a little indie game that Sony showed during its State of Play, a game called Pacific Drive. Giving me Kentucky Route Zero vibes.
What?
No?
Well, Kentucky Route Zero is a point-and-click adventure game with, like, almost 8-bit graphics. So
no, I get it. I'm just saying, like, the setting and...
No.
No? Okay.
Kentucky Route Zero is a magical realism, like, fantasy game.
Yeah.
And this is, like, seems to be outrunning a reality storm of some kind.
I can't figure it out, dude. So they described the game as a run-based, first-person driving survival game.
As a what-based?
A run as in running. Okay. A run-based.
I think they mean like on a run, like
you're on.
Got to make a run, kind of thing.
Yeah, like you're delivering something or
you're picking something up or foraging for supplies or whatever.
And then the description that they supplied reads: as a true road, like your car is your only companion. Based out of an abandoned garage, you'll be repairing, upgrading, and outfitting it to stay safe from all the dangers that surround you. Each excursion into the zone. So there's your runs. Each excursion. Together, the two of you will drive deep into the surreal woods of the Pacific Northwest, chase long-forgotten mysteries, and encounter strange and dangerous anomalies all as you make your way to the heart of the Olympic exclusion zone. And again, they call it a first-person, run-based driving survival game. Form a unique bond with a fully customizable car that develops its own quirks and personality. So like Christine. Tense driving from behind the wheel with moments of vulnerability when you step out to gather resources and make repairs. From your upgradable garage, each repeatable trip into the zone is unique and randomized. So there's a little bit of rogue elements or roguelite elements in it.
Yeah, they call it a road-like.
Road-like. Interesting. It's randomized.
It seems to be some kind of like anomaly. I thought of Half-Life because it has like that thing where like that something is. Because at some point in this trailer, you see that you basically shift to another dimension, and the car gets all Mad Maxy.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true.
Like you're driving through like slime puddles and shit.
Because it's a grocery getter right now, but then it looks almost like a spaceship.
Yeah, you seem to. The modifications seem to only some of them seem to only apply in the other world. So
interesting. Unravel a long-forgotten mystery of the Olympic exclusion zone as you explore a surreal and anomaly-filled version of the Pacific Northwest with an original score by Wilbert Roget and featuring 15-plus licensed songs. Excited about this at all, Matt?
I'm interested.
Yeah. It's definitely a unique idea or unique twist on the formula, the roguelite formula. And it does look to be story-driven, story-based, which could give it another nice little spin. And I don't know, the hints at the story in this have piqued my interest, I guess is the best way to put it. Looks pretty cool. Again, that's called Pacific Drive. And then next up, from Team Ninja, comes Rise of the Ronin, which is coming in 2024. It is a PlayStation 5 console exclusive for right now. It is a new open world game, from Team Ninja. It's an action RPG set in Edo, Japan, which some people call Bakamatsu, which is the very end of the Edo period in Japan. You play as a Ronin, a warrior free from all masters and bonds, and as your destiny intertwines with story characters, you take part in an immersive combat-focused action experience. Again, it's an open-world action RPG that takes place in Japan at a time of great change.
This is their Assassin's Creed. Basically.
It is, yeah. It is. It is the very end of a 300-year-long Edo period, commonly known as Bakamatsu, which is essentially late 19th century Japan.
It's the end of the samurai.
Yeah, it's apparently the darkest period of Japan's history, a time of like transformative change and whatnot. As the country struggles with its oppressive rulers and deadly diseases, while Western influence permeates as civil war continues to rage between the Tokugawa Shogunate. Shogunate.
I've usually heard it pronounced shogunate.
Okay. And the anti-shogunate factions. Immerse yourself in a historically inspired world while bringing together its renowned combat action with katanas and firearms that depicts the unique personality of the time period. Each decision you make will matter. So this game also has a plot where you make decisions and it changes the ultimate outcome. They didn't go into a lot of detail about how all that stuff works. You think people are going to be interested in this game, Matt?
Yeah.
Really?
Samurai and ancient, old Japan and flying around and ship stuff. Yeah. Like, I think this is kind of the Assassin's Creed people have been asking for forever, except I think this is probably going to be out before Project Red.
I don't know, man. I don't know if this has got a hook. Like, I know people in Japan will love it.
This is the best thing in this whole state of play other than God of War.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it is.
But I don't mean that as a rip on the state of play. I mean, I'm very, very interested in this, which even after another thing I played by them this week.
Which we'll talk about in a minute. But
this looks really, really good.
I agree that it looks good to us. I don't know if it's going to be a mass market success, but
it will if they advertise it properly.
You think?
Absolutely. But I don't know if they will. Like that's going to require some synergy, Sort of in the same way as like Forspoken, like that could probably be a big hit if you advertise it on football
correctly
or something. But I don't know. It depends what kind of marketing campaign this thing gets.
I mean, I'll be honest, Ghost of Tsushima has changed my perspective on what Western audiences are interested in and what they'll accept and they'll buy.
Ghost of Tsushima was a big hit.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It changed. Like, I used to think that games like that would never sell in the West, but now that Ghost of Tsushima has done well, my mind is open for games like this doing well. I don't know. I just wonder, Ghost of Tsushima had so much hype because it was a PlayStation exclusive, which, by the way, so is this one.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see once it starts going through its marketing cycle if people are picking up on it. If
I don't really see where your skepticism's coming from on this. The only thing I would question is like whether Sony will put their full muscle behind it.
Yeah, if they'll actually dedicate the marketing dollars to it, because again, its franchise competes with this basically.
Well, I'm not worried. I don't think that is the issue. The issue is like, as not an in-house product, are they gonna?
Right.
But apparently they are working. Sony was it UDX or whatever? They're working with them on this, so it is kind of a partly sort of like Forspoken was. They're kind of in partnership.
Okay.
Even though there's a PC version.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with you though. It looks great.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's taken this long for Team Ninja to finally create a true open world game.
Yeah,
they've been inching that way.
It's going to matter on that, and it's also going to matter how accessible the combat system is. Like, are they going to do another weirdo Neo? Like, you got to study to figure out how all these systems interact with each other, or is it going to be more of an Assassin's Creed thing where it's like, or Ghost of Tsushima, it's like, okay, there's some nuance here, but you can figure it out in 20 minutes, and there you go.
It looks like Bloodborne to me because it has the swords plus the guns. And the guns are like old school, like musket style.
It looks like Assassin's Creed to me because it has swords and guns.
Yeah.
Well, okay. That's what they did in that same period. And I mean, Assassin's Creed was 100 years earlier, but yeah, it's just what that is.
I wonder too if this game is going to be like a Souls-like. Like every encounter could take your life. Like
I don't see that in this.
Yeah.
No. I see this as more their take on Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
They're already doing a Souls-like,
which we'll get to. And if that's true, I'm more excited for this game than most of Team Ninja's games. If it is just
I do not believe this is a Souls-like.
Okay. And to be fair, it was not pushed as a Souls-like either. So, I don't know. Again, Ghost of Tsushima throws a wrench in my thinking. Is that, my thinking is that, like, games set in ancient Japan generally wouldn't do that well in the West, but Ghost of Tsushima with Sony's marketing muscle, as you brought up, did very, very well. So it's possible. Next up, a smaller game called Stellar Blade. This game was formerly called Eve or Project Eve.
Project Eve.
Yeah. And it was around for quite a while as Project Eve. But that seems to be happening more and more frequently lately, Matt, where you have a game that you promote for a long time, and then at the last minute, you change its title and you're no worse for the wear.
Anything with project in it is not going to be the final title.
Yeah, generally, yeah. One of the unique features of this game is that weapons fuse to the characters, so there's kind of a symbiotic relationship between weapons and the protagonists in this, where the weapons are almost absorbed and become a part of the character. The plot of the game follows Eve on her quest to save Earth from an overwhelming foe. That's a sentence that they doesn't provide a whole lot of detail.
This looks astoundingly generic.
It really does. And so I was talking just a minute ago about how Team Ninja's game has sword and gun. This game also has sword and gun, but in the style of a Devil May Cry. It's a more fast-paced hack and slash.
It's in the style of like, okay, somebody with a sword fighting a big nondescript blob cyborg meat monster. Like, enough.
Yeah.
Enough with this shit. Like, I could not tell you what game those enemies are from.
Yeah.
They're from every Devil May Cry like in existence at this point.
Yeah.
Like what is that? What am I looking at? It's another big blob of meat with like glowing arm things. Like, who cares?
But you can see where I'm getting the Devil May Cry stuff from.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's a character action game pedigree for sure.
And she'll hack it up, and then she'll finish it off with like a gun blast over the shoulder or whatever.
Yeah, there's not a single thing in this I haven't seen in 14 other games.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. This is also a PS5 console exclusive. This is not coming, at least initially, to any other console platform.
I mean, it looks nice, like graphic quality wise, but there's nothing in here of interest to me.
Yeah, it's pretty generic. I guess that's the best way to describe it. But, you know, you have to have games like this, too, to fill in those holes.
Yeah, this is your B-listers.
When you don't have those AAA, whatever, quad A, as Sony likes to call them, games coming out on a consistent basis. And that has definitely been the case with PlayStation 5 so far. So they definitely need some more games like that. And then the final thing that they showed was Hogwarts Legacy. PlayStation has some kind of a deal set up with Hogwarts Legacy, and there's a PlayStation exclusive mission that's in the game, and that was sort of the big thing that they showed for the state of play. But really, it just seemed like they're like, oh, we partnered up with this game. We needed to do well. Let's make sure that we show it in our state of play. And this game is coming pretty soon as well. Not long to wait for that. AJ the Legend Watson is asking if Stellar Blade had any relationship to Parasite Eve, and it does not.
No, it's not Square.
Yeah, it's not even published by Square, which would have to be a requirement. Like, another studio could make that game, but it would be under the Square Enix banner in some way, shape, or form. So no, not related to Parasite Eve, although I do understand where he is getting that and why he is asking that question, because it does look similar. Like, the color palette of the game looks similar to Parasite Eve. So I know where you're getting that question, but it is not related to it at all. Are you excited for Hogwarts Legacy after all of this, Matt?
No.
No?
I mean, it does look pretty cool, but like, I don't want to support J.K. Rowling and her bullshit.
I think everyone's being put in a tough spot here, but I'm gonna play it.
I mean, hopefully we just get codes for it, so we don't have to
actually give any money to them for it. That would be nice. I'll start working on that right now, Matt. See if I can make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that is Sony's state of play. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's fine.
For middle of September or whatever, state of play.
Just a little update. God of War is still coming in November. Here's some other stuff that's coming up. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been a really bad year for PlayStation.
But not a lot to say about anyone, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nintendo's had a pretty good year.
Nintendo the only one who's gotten regular exclusives out in any capacity.
I mean, Xbox has been abysmal, but PlayStation's been bad.
Yeah.
But better than Xbox. But it's not saying much. It's been a rough year. I mean, it's just been a terrible year. After the first couple months of the year, it's been awful. Trying to put shows together and that's what tells you really like if it's been a good year or a bad year, is if you have to put shows together like GameFace. It's like, how much are you struggling week in and week out to make it interesting and make it fun?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the litmus for me is that like, most of this year, I've struggled to sort of care about playing the new things I need to play to talk about them on the show. I'd rather just play another thing I'm not done with yet.
Yeah, because the new things haven't been that exciting for the most part of the year. It's just true. So I hear you. But next year is going to be the exact opposite, where we're just like overwhelmed. So
we hope.
It's interesting how
we're really sitting in a stretch here where it's going to be a little more, a little more interesting stuff coming week after week.
Yep. We're about to hit our stride, which is good. So anyway, there you go. That's Sony's State of Play. Next up, the game that we've just hinted at it like 5 different times. We've been mentioning this other Team Ninja game that we played that we're going to discuss, and that game is Wolong Fallen Destiny. Now, this is a Souls-like. This is, I feel like it's going to be the replacement for Team Ninja's other Souls-like that has done surprisingly well, though, I would add. Why is Team Ninja making so many games like this?
I guess because they can do them well, or that's kind of their wheelhouse is combat systems, and they can, the format is a pretty obvious fit for their expertise. Mm-hmm. And this is sort of a, there's definitely some Neo to this. Yeah. But it's set in the the Three Kingdoms period. I hate this game.
Matt's been waiting all episode to say this.
I really don't like this, and I was surprised because I was excited about. I thought this looked really cool when they first showed it.
By the way, people, there's a demo of this out right now that was released during Tokyo Game Show. You can go and play it yourself if you want to. It's not a huge download. I think it's like 15 gigs or something. Yeah,
this game is absolutely not for me.
Which shocks me, Matt, because it feels like Sekiro to me.
It feels like Sekiro made out of butter to me.
Oh, really?
Like, everything's too slippery, everything's too slidey, the lock-on is bullshit.
The lock-on is really
He misses all the time.
Dude, yeah.
Like, I
found that too.
I do the last-minute dodge thing, and I do she's hitting to the side. We're fighting in a circle around each other. It's terrible.
I've had that same problem.
And I know that eventually I would learn that if I, stuck with it and figured out the nuances of the combat system, but I don't want to. Like, I've done that enough for Team Ninja games. I've done it enough. I've already just did it for Steel Rising, and it's the opposite of Steel Rising. Steel Rising feels too stiff, whereas this feels
They're on opposite
too loose.
ends.
And I don't feel like I have control over the character properly, and I don't care to learn. So I deleted this game. I uninstalled this game after 20 minutes. I'm done.
Really?
I do not
So
care.
I played it more than you did.
Yeah. Like
you see here summons here. Like you can summon like these spirits.
It looks cool. There's some cool stuff in here. I like a lot of what they're after, but I just do not like the combat at all.
I'm torn on the combat because I like that the combat
No,
is...
Sneaky, it's not going to be fixed. The demo is the game.
You think
they're
so?
not going to overhaul the combat system between now and whenever this thing gets really
Probably
that
not.
never ever happens.
They'll tweak it, but they're not going to completely change how the combat system works.
Not at all. And you'd have to redesign this from the ground up to get me interested again. Like the lock on is a problem and annoying, but like I don't like how this feels to play. Like period.
So
and
I feel like
that's not going to change between demo and final release.
Here's my take on the combat in this. I feel like it's responsive and quick, kind of like Sekiro. But I don't feel anything when I'm landing blows.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a part of that is that the enemies do block a whole hell of a lot. Yeah, like almost annoyingly so.
If you want a Souls game where the enemy, even the lowliest enemy is smart enough to give you like a fight, you're going to want to check this out.
These first couple guys that you run into can kill you.
Yeah, if
easily.
And Sekiro has that.
Yeah,
there's some of that. But the combat in Sekiro is just a very satisfying thing that feels very solid and weighty, and you know when you're hitting something, and you know when something's hitting you. And this is just everything feels like it's covered in grease.
Yeah,
I think it's too slippery.
You end up fighting like rank and file guys. Some of the fights take way too long. Yeah. Like I just felt like I was messing around with these chuds for like way too long. I'm like, why is this fight lasting forever? Like, I don't know if it's like I never figured out what I could do as the player to end the fights more quickly. But
I mean, you can sneak up on them and backstab them.
Yeah.
But some of them you just can't do that with.
Yeah, they're facing forward when you come in. You meet them for the first time.
And like it's just and I think the loosey goosey lock on aiming is so that you can attack enemies you're not locked onto because they do surround you sometimes. But I don't like that. I would rather, and also you got to double tap the circle button to dodge.
Yeah,
which
that's a little bit annoying.
Whole new speed. Like you can't instant dodge. Then you're trying to block, but if you're not trying to block, and then like I also think the red dot that appears when they're about to do their unblockable attack is way too similar to the red dot that appears when you have dropped their stamina to nothing.
Yeah.
This game left me ice cold, just in a way that I was shocked by because I was so ready to play this. Like,
I thought you were going to come on in the show and gush about it.
No, I
thought I would have to sit here and be like, I will
not play this when it comes out. I am not paying money for this game. No, I'm done. I'm done with the post. I think I'm done with post. No, I forgot his name now. The Team Ninja guy.
Hayashi?
The weird guy.
Oh, Itagaki.
I'm done with post Itagaki
Team Ninja
high-end combat systems from Team Ninja. Like I don't like how they do these. Neo was kind of similar, but not as bad to me. Like I felt like I was having to struggle with learning the ins and outs of it, and I'm not going to do that again for this.
See what I was saying about Rise of the Ronin.
And I'll be honest, if Rise of the Ronin does the same thing, I'm out on that too. But it doesn't look like that's what's happening there. I think they're making a Ghost of Tsushima kind of thing.
What I was saying about Rise of the Ronin also kind of applies to this. Like I just wonder if the appeal is.
I think the appeal is there if you can make it playable.
Like the Romance of the Kingdom stuff. Like I just don't feel like that.
Well, that's not remotely the same as a samurai thing.
Yeah.
Samurai have a much more inherent appeal in the West. I think this would have, but like I think your average person, especially people who are not well acquainted with Souls stuff, are gonna start playing this and not understand why they can't get past the third guy.
Yeah, it's not Neo.
No, it's not Neo, and it seems more. I mean, you do fight monsters. Like I gave the first mini boss one shot at me, and I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm just done.
Was that the tiger thing?
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not. It's not a long demo. I think it's only like an hour if you just burn through it. But being able to burn through it is part of the trick there.
Well, here's the thing, Matt.
And once again, they're just throwing the tutorial is useless. They're not teaching you like basic ins and outs of things. You have to learn them on the fly, and I just don't want to do that right now, especially not in a demo that isn't going to carry over, even if I did like the game. The stamina stuff is a weird idea. Sometimes you die and can come back, and sometimes you can't. It doesn't explain that. Like, I don't get it. I don't care.
Huh.
Like, it's just not interesting. I'm just going to play Elden Ring. That's part of the problem this year also, is every time you throw, like, a lesser Souls-like at me, I'm like, why wouldn't I just play Elden Ring again?
Well, I haven't even finished Elden Ring, so why wouldn't I just go back and play Elden Ring more?
Like, I can just go play. I can go play a way better version of this. You know,
because I love the world and the fantasy of Elden Ring way more than this or Neo or Rise of the Ronin. I just do.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but Rise of the Ronin, again, I don't think that's going to be this kind of game.
Yeah, I don't either.
So,
I mean, as far as combat is concerned, where you're fighting the same guy like 5 times before you finally beat him.
The Souls game needs basically 3 things for me. It needs to do something that Souls, the From games don't already do. And technically, setting this in this era with like these kinds of weapons and combat is something different. It needs to have a combat system that is interesting to me and something that I care to learn, which this does not. And it needs to have its own spin on things, and this sort of does. Like, the leveling up is weird. It's more, I guess it's more Sekiro leveling up in the sense that, like, you're not leveling up the character directly so much as you're leveling up different aspects of combat style, which is like, you basically pick the one you identify with the best, and that's the kind of thing you can focus on with, like, you know, other stuff. I don't know. Like, it was... Oh, and that didn't work for me.
Yeah, what does it do? I could never figure out what it's supposed to do.
That's like online stuff. None of that would even show up, because every time it tried to load that, it would like say, like, it popped up a thing that said, this is not available right now, or like, it tried and failed, please try again later. Again, it wasn't like the game popping that up, it was the system popping that up.
Interesting.
Like, I played this on Xbox, and it would pop up that, like, unavailable thing, try again later, you normally get when you try to do something online, or try to get it would pop that up every time I get to a place there where because I'm like, what is happening when that, because the game wouldn't crash, it wouldn't stop working, you know, it just kept playing once I went. Also, that would pop up during fights, which was a problem. But like, and then I found out that was where it was showing like the graves of other players and stuff, so I guess that is not working properly on the Xbox.
I don't understand how you're supposed to, what the point of them being there.
I don't know. I mean, I never got to see it myself.
Because there's not notes or anything there. Like, it's just, okay, I mean, this person died here.
Yeah, I mean, normally in like Souls games, you just get to see a ghost of what they did and how they died.
Yeah, and this is just nothing. There's their flag sitting there. Like,
I don't know.
Matt, I got frustrated with this. I got frustrated with fighting the same 7 or 8 guys over and over again. So what I did was I just ran. I just ran through
classic Souls.
The whole stage. I ran all the way to the Tiger boss, fought the Tiger boss, got him to where he was almost dead, started getting my butt beat, just ran again. And I just ran through the whole game. Like, there's no repercussions for doing it. And I don't know if maybe that's just set up in the demo, that they're like, okay, once you're 50 yards away from an enemy, they forget about you. I don't know. But, dude, I just ran through the whole game. And there was nothing to stop me from doing it. And like,
you can do that in Dark Souls, but usually you hit a boss or something where you have to actually sit and fight a guy.
Yeah. I never found that in this. Maybe that you do get to that point, but like that Tiger sub-boss, like, you can initiate that fight and then run away.
And part of the,
you're not trapped in the arena,
right? And but part of it is like they want you to kind of explore and fight all the people, because that's how you raise your spirit level, which makes you more likely to be able to take on the Tiger boss.
Yeah. What I did was I just built up my summon.
It's just so tedious. Yeah. I just don't want to, and like
I just ran around and built up my summon, and then as soon as the fight with the Tiger started, I just unleashed my summon. And the summon took out like 90% of its health.
Summon help. This is I don't care. Like, you know, like if this looks like your thing, it's a demo. Play it. See, it might be exactly what you've been waiting for. But this is absolutely not for me in any respect. Like I am.
Well, then you know it's not for me.
No, I mean I thought you might like it more, just in the sense that there's no real stamina meter.
But to your point about Elden Ring, like, I don't know, like after I've got over the hump with Elden Ring, I agree with you. I would do the same thing. Instead of playing one of these games, I would go back and play more Elden Ring. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna play more Elden Ring or play either of these games.
But if someone's gonna hold a gun to your head,
I would choose Elden Ring, absolutely. I just love the setting and everything more in Elden Ring than these games that are set in like ancient Asian culture. I have no connection to this stuff at all, like other than watching like kung fu movies when I was a kid or whatever. Like, this stuff just doesn't resonate with me. It's why I never could get really through much of Neo. Like, I have to have some kind of a motivation, particularly when I'm playing a genre that I'm not really a fan of and I don't really enjoy playing. If I don't have like the sinewy tissue there to hold it all together for me, I just don't care at all. Like, this game in particular, like, I never dreamed that I would spend more time playing this than you did. I was like, I'm going to play enough so I don't sound like an idiot when I discuss it with Matt, because I know Matt is probably going to play this all the way to the end. He will have beaten all these bosses, and, like,
nope.
I won't have to worry about it.
Nope, I had no time for this guy's bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Bunko says it looks like Neo, but in daylight.
Yeah, I guess. I found Neo, I mean, look, I didn't play Neo to the end either, but I found Neo's combat to be way more reliable and less slippery than this. Like, I just does not feel good to me to play at all.
And Swanland asks, is this...
And I feel bad for being as hard on Steel Rising as I was for being stiff, when, like, in the end, it's like, I guess stiff is better than feeling like you're trying to control someone on ice skates.
Yeah. Swanland's asking if this was captured from the demo. Yes, this is me playing the demo horribly, if you haven't figured that part out by now. But you're right, Matt, like, the tutorial teaches you the basics.
Garbage.
It teaches you the basics, but it doesn't really teach you how to manage the game.
No, it doesn't teach you how the systems work or the individual. I wondered, like, it feels like this demo starts after the beginning of the game.
It does.
It feels like because you're already level 10,
which is also probably why your save doesn't carry over.
That would explain, yeah.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, if the only time a demo's save state carries over it means that you're starting at the beginning of the game. And this, like, I agree with you. I don't think that this does.
No, it feels like you're in the middle of something when it starts, and, like, you're already level 10 in whatever aspect of the character you've chosen as your focus, and, like, it just feels like you've gone through stuff where it feels like you're in an area where you're expected to know more about the combat system than they've told you, even if you do pick the tutorial, where they teach you very basic stuff about how the spirit thing works and how to attack and basic controls.
There's Flask, just like in Souls.
That's just Flask. And they teach you vaguely what the battle flags do, which are the bonfires.
Yeah, here's me.
Which gives you, like, it basically ups the lowest morale you can have in the area. Like, so every time you die, you lose morale. I think half of your, what is it?
And then there's this flag that you saw me plant.
It's called something like real chi or something like that. That's what you use to level. That's your souls. So you only lose half of your souls in this when you die.
Yeah, that's true.
But, no, I just don't care.
And then you saw me planting the flag there that gives you, like, a permanent ability upgrade.
Yeah. That raises like I said, that raises the lowest level your spirit can drop to when you die.
Oh, okay.
So the more flags you put up, the
less you lose.
You're not going to drop to 0 anymore. You'll drop to 1 or 2 or whatever.
Gotcha.
And then you got to go back to find the guy who killed you and get your spirit back, get your morale back.
Yep.
Which is actually an interesting sort of one of the few re-implementations I've ever seen of sort of like the Nemesis system from Mordor.
Yeah,
where, like,
that's true.
The guy who kills you becomes more powerful.
Yeah. Actually, there's a game we're going to talk about in a bit where that also happens.
Which is interesting. Like, there's a lot of interesting ideas in this, but I hate the way it feels to play. So
I felt confused and overwhelmed by this demo.
I would agree with that. Like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff it wasn't telling me, and a lot of stuff that I wasn't onboarded onto properly.
Yeah.
Which, again, I feel like that is true with Neo to some degree as well. Yeah, it's just, okay, sure.
Yeah, my interest in this is not very high after playing the demo. It accomplished the opposite of what demos are supposed to accomplish.
Yeah, I probably would have jumped in on this when it came out if I hadn't played this, but now the idea of paying $70 for this is ridiculous to me.
Yeah. I saw somebody was asking something else. Nexus Baddie, that footage almost gave me a headache. Dodging felt like there was no invincibility frames. I don't think there are.
There aren't, because the way you can either tap circle/B. You can either tap it once to do like I guess this sidestep thing, which, like, does make you invincible to damage, and then gives you kind of flanking position. But a lot of times when I did that, instead of hitting the enemy, she would just start hitting to her right or her left and miss the guy completely. Yeah. And then he'd try to attack me and miss me, and we'd, like, fight in a circle around each other until someone turned properly to actually hit somebody with us. It was really weird.
You also can't outrun some of the enemies in this.
Yeah, but you do you hit that once, and that's your kind of invincibility dodge. And then if you tap it twice, you do the dodge spin,
which is what I was doing most of the time.
Which moves you further away from the enemy, but does not seem to.
It doesn't set you up for counters.
Doesn't set you up, and it doesn't seem to have any iframes.
Yeah.
Or at least not that I could find.
Yeah.
So it's kind of useless.
Yep. Other than getting out.
And then you've also got left bumper is just a straight up block, but you cannot block the attacks that have the red the red glow, you have to either dodge those or do the single button timed dodge, but then you have to learn the timing on every single enemy's red attack, and that's when I uninstalled the fucking game.
The Windows type for
come on,
it too. Yeah.
Like, give me a break.
Yeah.
Like Team Ninja sometimes, especially in the modern day, seems to treat playing their games as a full-time job, and I'm not here for that.
Yeah. There's a lot of people complaining about the game. Some played it, some just watched the footage. Delfino109 says, I hope they retouch their animation speed, because even without the posture system, it's too fast and the tells are insufficient.
Yeah.
Some attacks are so fast it's too segmenting into an audience, even if you like those games.
Yeah, you'd have to learn everybody's animation frames in this, which is like the only games I do anything even remotely like that in are fighting games.
Barry Lomax, I did the same as Matt. I rage quit hard once the tiger shot me.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, about that tiger is his attack animations are like 8 attacks.
Mm-hmm.
To your point about dropping you, I agree with you, into the middle of the game instead of the beginning of the game. I agree with you. Like, they created that little patch of grass for the tutorial, and they're like, okay, and we're just going to drop you into, like, the middle of the game. I felt that as well. Vincent says it'll be on Game Pass, so you won't have to pay for it. Thank God. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed in Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. I'm not really interested in the subject matter, and I'm not a Souls player.
And the chat saying it's like they want you to parry. Yeah, they want you to do the time dodge parry sidestep thing, but the timing on it is ridiculously narrow, and pulling it off sucks. Pulling it off doesn't feel good. Like, that's the thing about what Sekiro was genius was when you pulled that parry off, it felt good.
It did feel right. Yeah.
And following up felt good, and it doesn't in this.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And again, an adjustment of the Elder Scrolls argument. I'm just going to play Sekiro again.
Yeah.
Why would I play this when I could just play Sekiro again?
Yeah.
Sekiro is a better game already. And like, there's nothing to say that I wouldn't play a lesser game. I play Steel Rising more.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little okay, but like this thing, like I would have to like sit down and watch like tutorial videos on this thing and figure out all the nuances. I just don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
I watch not enough time in my life for that.
Yeah, I watched Maximilian Dude play this because I like his fighting game stuff, and he gets combat. And I watched him sort of piece together how some of the combat system worked. I'm just like, I don't care. I don't want to learn that. I don't have any interest in becoming good at this game.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's the end of it.
I feel the same. Magister Cato, thank you for Twitch Prime, man. That's awesome. Okay, let's move on. We're going to talk next about another game I've been playing this week. Well, actually, just this weekend, because there was an open beta this weekend, although I don't think it was open, and that is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. There's a multiplayer beta going on all weekend. Matt and I got codes to jump in on it early. Was it open? Could any PlayStation owner play the beta?
I don't know.
Because I wonder why
I didn't get to play it because it was closed by the time I got around to trying the code. But then you said you played it that day.
Yeah, I played it yesterday. I played even more, on PlayStation 5. And I just wonder why...
When I put the thing in, it said it was over.
And I just wonder why Activision... Maybe they just wouldn't let you download the client any longer. Yeah. I do wonder why Activision sent me codes if anybody could just join the beta. I found that weird.
I thought it was closed.
I thought it was too. But like, it's called open beta. I don't know. Anyway, I spent a lot of time playing multiplayer.
The first 2 days were closed.
Okay, gotcha. I spent a lot of time playing the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 beta. It was only 4 modes. There was Team Deathmatch and Domination to cover the basis of what most people end up playing. And as I've said a million times, I'm pretty much purely a Team Deathmatch guy. I think that's the purest form of competition in a shooter. And there were 2 other modes that you could play. I thought both of them were terrible. Again, it's so funny, Matt. They come up with all these modes for Call of Duty, and then you play them, and they all just become Team Deathmatch. Because, because
no battle plan survives contact with the enemy.
So the 2 extra modes...
The enemy are the players.
Yeah, exactly. The 2 extra modes in this were, one was, escort a bag of money, and the other one was escort these 2 people. Or you can just kill the whole other team. And every one of these modes, that's what happens.
To like SOCOM.
95 times out of 100.
Like every time they put a new mode in SOCOM, it was just like,
it doesn't matter.
No, just kill everybody.
Just kill everyone. And that's how every match ends. And that's how it always ended in this game with these extra modes. So I played them a couple times, realized that they're just like all the other modes where you're defusing a bomb or trying to keep someone from defusing a bomb. They're basically just team deathmatch where people don't respawn. And that's the way those two modes were. So I ended up playing a metric dump truck load full of team deathmatch and domination throughout the weekend. And the first thing I'm going to say is I love the maps in this game. I was talking about Splatoon 3 in last week's show and how I really liked all the maps in that because they were basically just symmetrical rectangles where no team had an advantage over the other team depending on which side that they spawned on. The 3 maps that they included in this were basically the same deal. Very rectangular. There were nuances inside the maps, but for the most part, whichever side you started on did not determine whether you won or lost. There wasn't like a huge advantage depending on one side or the other. So I really like the maps, but again, there were only 3. And while I did get tired of the maps, Matt, what I really realized playing those 3 maps over and over again is that the most important thing in a shooter is learning the maps. It really is. Like, once you get to a certain level and your twitch is okay and you can aim quickly and blah, 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 you're a good player. What matters the most is learning the maps. So when I first started playing, I didn't get in until like a day and a half after everyone else had been playing. I was level 1. Everyone else was like the max, which was level 15. They all had a bunch of gear that they could kit themselves out with, and I got my ass kicked for the first like 6 hours I was playing it. And then as I learned the maps, the tables started turning, and by the time I stopped playing yesterday, I was finishing most matches with like a 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 KD. So it just shows you that really memorizing maps, learning the choke points, learning where people are going to run, that is the key to being good at a shooter, more than how quickly you can sight somebody up and squeeze the trigger. So I did like the maps in this a lot, at least the 3 that they let us play. There are a couple new mechanics, although in this they have removed slide canceling, which has been a thing in this franchise for like the last 5 or 6 entries, and it's a huge thing that helps you get out of bad situations. In this, it's not included. I have a feeling they may change that before the game comes out because people are freaking out about it. The other thing I would say, too, is that the sliding in general in this game just does not feel good. Like, you don't slide far enough. It doesn't feel smooth enough. It feels like you slide like 2 feet, and then you just stop. I don't know how to explain it. It feels weird. But there are a couple new mechanics, like dolphin diving has been added, and that is where, and I think it was in like a couple Black Ops games a long time ago, where you can just run and then dive down to the ground and go prone. They brought that back for this. And then you can also hang off of ledges and use your pistol. So you can hang on a wall and just poke your head up over the wall and fire with your pistol while you're hanging on with just one hand. Huh. I did not find a lot of instances where that was actually functional. It was something that I really needed to use to be good at the game, but it's there. And
but I guess if you do need it, you're going to want it.
Probably. I did come across a couple points where other players were trying to use it. I think they were just experimenting with it, and then I was like, oh, I'll try it too. And it's like 5 of us hanging onto the same wall just trying to see how it all worked. But I rarely ever use it as a practical means of combat in the game. The weapons in the game, it is a Modern Warfare game, so they are modern armaments, which I appreciate, I like. The recoil seems to be more intense in this game, and a big reason for that is because they've ditched the Pick 10 system, which allowed you to attach 10 different attachments to your gun at once. And so, you know, if you're focused on lowering the recoil on your gun, you could dedicate 8 of those 10 attachments to just that, to making the recoil less when you fired. You only have 5 attachments now in this game. It is a huge departure if you've played a lot of Call of Duty multiplayer. You have to make hard decisions. Like, I found myself playing without a sight because I was like, I'd rather have those 5 attachments used to lower the recoil so that my gun isn't flying up 10 feet. Because again, the recoil on this, for whatever reason, seems way more extreme than the last few Call of Duty games. So I spent all 5 of my attachments on recoil, trying to make the gun not pop up as much when I fired it. So I hardly ever use a sight. But the other thing was, I played this all weekend and never unlocked a red dot sight. I never got the sight that I use in these games the whole time I played. Now, they did have a level cap at 15, and it's coming back this weekend, and they're going to expand that level cap up to 30, which means I should finally get a red dot sight, which is usually like the first thing that you unlock in this game. So the other thing, too, is that the unlocks are weird. So, but I do think improved. So there are classes of attachments now. So there's this one thing that you put on your gun that kind of changes the gun's class. And then within each one of those classes is a collection of attachments. And once you've unlocked that attachment is unlocked for that whole class of guns, or that whole class of attachments, so to speak. So you don't have to, conceivably, you won't have to unlock the red dot sight for every gun in the game. There's a class of guns. There's like 4 or 5 different classes. And once you unlock it for that class, every gun in that class will then have the ability to snap on a red dot sight to it. It's a way to streamline things, but I don't like it. Like, I feel like I'm not able to build the weapon that I want to build now. I feel like I have to make concessions and sacrifice one thing for another. Some people may like that because you can't just build the gun you want, and you have to be more strategic about it. Sure, I can get that. I, for one, didn't appreciate it and didn't like it all that much at all. So yeah, the Pick 10 system, which has been a thing in Call of Duty for forever, is gone. What else did I discover? Perks are different. Now the perks are built in like tiers. And that almost feels a little bit more like a cosmetic change to me, because you still are basically picking your perks from groups of perks, and you have to make some hard decisions. Although some weird things have changed, like Dead Silence, which was always a perk in the game, was now changed to a field upgrade, meaning now you have to activate it, and it has a cooldown. So you can't just use Dead Silence throughout the entire game. It's like your big super, basically, now, which is weird. I mean, I'll say this, everybody did use it, and maybe that's why they're like, everyone's using this, it's OP. I don't know why they decided to change it, but that's a big deal. The field grades pretty much are all returning stuff, and you activate those by pressing both your shoulder buttons. There's like portable walls, deployable soldiers, like fake soldiers. There's deployable cameras that you can lay out in the field so you can monitor specific parts of the map. But for the most part, they're all stuff that we've seen before. The same goes with kill streaks. I don't think there was a single new or unique kill streak in the entire game. In a lot of ways, in general, I didn't like Vanguard at all, and I hardly played it, but this game allowed me to jump right back in and be good at Call of Duty, like right out of the gate again. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think that's open to interpretation and how you like to play. Personally, I prefer this way. Again, I look at these games like sports. Like, I shouldn't ever go onto a football field and not remember how to throw a football or catch a football or kick a football or juke somebody or outrun somebody. That stuff should never be removed from football. And there are certain elements of Call of Duty that I feel like should never be removed from Call of Duty. And they have taken some of those away for this rework of Modern Warfare 2. What else? Again, I didn't like the 2 extra modes that they put in here, so I ended up playing a ton of Team Deathmatch and Domination. You can revive your fallen teammates to get them back in the match for some modes, but obviously not for Team Deathmatch or Domination. What else? The game looks good, but it also looks basically the same. There's nothing about it where I'm, okay, now I see that this is a next-gen Call of Duty. It doesn't really look any better or worse than Vanguard or any of the last few Call of Duty games, and that might be a part and parcel of developing this game for cross-generation platforms and not developing just for next-gen. But the game looks good, but there's nothing in it that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I haven't seen anything like this before, and this is like mind-blowing compared to the last couple Call of Duties. It really doesn't hit that way. The audio I thought was great, especially now it's the first Call of Duty that I've been playing with my new receiver, which has been nice to play with Dolby Atmos and all the new features I have in my new receiver, and the game sounds great. Players have been complaining that the footsteps are too loud. That didn't bother me at all. I thought they were perfect and fine. You still can't really hear them unless you have your stereo turned really high, or if you're playing with headphones or cans on. You can see here how much stuff you unlock if you have like a good round. It's insane. It's like you can't even keep up with it. And a lot of that stuff that you're unlocking, as I said earlier, unlocks across multiple weapons instead of just that one weapon that you're playing with, which I think is nice. Like this M4, you can change it from like almost an SMG that just spits out crazy amounts of bullets, but they aren't as powerful or potent. You can almost turn it into a shotgun. And so in that way, the way the Pick 5 now works, it gives you more versatility per weapon, but you can't be as granular per weapon. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been hard for me trying to formulate how I was going to discuss this. So I'm happy that I've managed to express it in a way that it makes sense. So I had fun, though. I got hooked on this. I ended up playing it most of the weekend. There was all these other demos to play that I played with varying amounts. This was the one I kept coming back to. It's fast. Getting in and out of a match in this is almost too fast. Like, you almost don't even have time to, like, check Twitter or Facebook before the next match starts. That is a secret weapon of Call of Duty that has been there for a long time, and it is there in this game. Again, liked all 3 maps that were in the beta. I'm hoping there will be more for next weekend, but I'll say this. I like this enough that I will be there this weekend to play it again. And as I tell you guys over and over again, add me. I am Dinfire on everything. I am playing this on PlayStation 5, though. If you want to play with me on PlayStation this coming weekend, add me. I am Dinfire. We will kick some ass in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Do you have any questions, Matt? Do you have your eternal question of, is there anything in here that's going to make me like it?
No. I know the answer.
Have you given up on that one at this point?
Yeah.
Swanland says, don't have time to check Twitter or Facebook. Sounds like heaven. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I would think that would be a goal if I was making a multiplayer game. Don't give people time to think. Just jump into the next thing.
One Super Master Gamer asked, why can't you customize your operators? Deep question, but I understand why they're locked. Because this is a beta. And so they only gave you... The other thing, too, is you probably saw there was like a character select screen. There's only in the B-roll for like 5 seconds, so you may have missed it. But there is a character select screen, and there are like 20 characters to choose from. But in this beta, they only let you choose one from each side. So essentially, they've just locked you off from that stuff. Vincent also says that next weekend is on every platform. So this was exclusive to PlayStation this week. Next week, it'll be exclusive to Xbox. I think they'll probably have cross-platform play hooked up for it. I'm not 100% sure, though. But I will be playing on PlayStation. See if there's any other questions about COD. Vincent asked, maybe since you weren't using a site, you weren't leveling up your sites, so you didn't get the red dot. No, that's not how it works. It's a good thought, but that's not how it works at all. And there were times where I was using a site. Like, I had an ACOG for a while. I had this, like, weird site that, like, zoomed in, but also, like, distorted everything. And I was like, I didn't feel comfortable with that either. So I ended up just rolling without a site and just use that extra slot to get rid of more recoil on my gun. So some of you may like that. Some of you may like the fact that you can't build the exact gun that you want and that there are caveats and you have to work within the systems of what they give you. To me, it's like once you give somebody something in a franchise, it's probably stupid to ever take it away, particularly if it's not broken or it's not working. But Matt, I just feel like at this point with Call of Duty, they just take away stuff and add stuff because they just have... What else are they going to do to make it different?
Yeah.
It's the same thing I've been talking about with Madden for years, where they like add an old feature that was there like 10 years ago and they took it out because people hated it, and then they re-add it as a new feature and people still hate it, and eventually it goes away again. I feel like there's some of that happening with Call of Duty at this point as well. It's like there's nothing wrong with the Pick 10 system. There just isn't. There's a reason it lasted for like a decade and people loved it. So, yeah.
Waiting for them to bring back wall running.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. You're going to have to rely on Vince and those guys to probably handle that stuff. But I had fun with it. I had a good time with it.
Those guys are never making one of these again.
Yeah, he's probably very glad he doesn't have to make these anymore. And I totally get it. Because as I said, they're really reaching the law of diminishing returns with the Call of Duty franchise at this point. AJ the Legend asks, how was the haptic feedback with the gunplay? It was great, but I turned it off. I use that stuff for the campaign. I used it for the first like couple hours playing the beta, the multiplayer, and eventually just competitively it started to get annoying, so I just turned it off. I turn it off. I turn off all rumble on the controller when I play competitively. I don't want to feel anything in my hands. I know some people will disagree with turning off the rumble because some people like to feel the hit markers in their hands. And there was a period of time for me with Call of Duty that I was like that. I like to feel when my shots were landing. But as I played it year after year after year, I got that from the visuals. I didn't need the rumble anymore to tell me that stuff. So I just turn off all rumble, all force feedback, and just play it clean. And I tend to do better competitively when I do that. So it was great, but I still turned it off. Yeah. And that's multiplayer for Modern Warfare 2. Obviously, this game is going to come with a lot more features than that. If there's anything drastic that they add to the beta this coming weekend, maybe we'll talk about it again. But more than likely, we'll be waiting until the first week of November to talk about this game more when it officially releases and review code is out there. And I get it from Activision. So I enjoyed it. I had a good time playing it. I think if you're a COD fan who didn't like Vanguard like me, and I'll tell you this, Vanguard is the least I've played a Call of Duty since Ghost. So that tells you how I feel about Vanguard. And this got me right back into it. Yep. Ultimate Villain says, I think it's great that they got rid of slide canceling. Even if people complain, it's basically a glitch that everybody feels like they have to use to make themselves harder to hit. I mean, was it a glitch? I don't know if it was a glitch. I think maybe the first time it was a glitch, but then people learned how to use it, and now it's a feature. I mean, they intentionally have been putting it in there. And just because it's like they discovered it as a glitch, I don't think that means they should just cut it out of the game.
Combos in fighting games were a glitch.
Yeah,
originally.
So was skiing in Tribes. Like, it was a glitch.
So was dolphin diving in Battlefield.
Yeah, and it just became something that people got good at.
Dolphin diving was annoying as hell.
It was annoying.
But
yeah, I'd agree with that.
Nothing like the whole, it's like, oh, the Battlefield experience of World War II when you're, and like you just all these guys just like diving across the battle. Very silly.
I mean, all slide canceling does is it just lets you bail out of an animation routine. It's just it's just like canceling in a fighting game or in a beat 'em up. Like, you're not stuck in the animation. You can bail out if you're under the gun. So
yeah, that doesn't seem like an unreasonable thing to let somebody do.
Yeah. But you're right. Maybe that's why they took it out, because they're like, this just started as a glitch anyway. Did you try third-person mode? I did not. This isn't the first Call of Duty to have third-person mode.
Yeah, I remember when they did that a while ago. It's another thing they took away, and then it gets brought back again.
Right, and here it is. Like, it's the legacy. It's like, oh, it's a new feature. It's like, no, it's been there before. I don't like it. I prefer to play in first person. I do get there's a slight advantage of playing in third person because you can look around corners, but I just prefer to play in first person.
It was definitely better to play in third person in Battlefront.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Specifically because of that.
Yeah. Rosencrantz, it was probably not intended as a gameplay feature. Then the devs have to make decisions to keep it or fix it. Yeah, I get it. I totally understand like what's going on with it. I think it's a great feature. Like, even if it was an accident that people discovered it or it was a glitch or whatever, it makes the gameplay better. So I'm all for anything that improves it, in my opinion. Swanland, Sakurai talked about the variant of Space Invaders where the enemies can't hit you as a glitch, but makes the game better. It happens a lot in games. There's pleasant accidents, I guess is the best way to put it. And to me, that was a pleasant accident that occurred in Call of Duty, and now they've removed it. So you'll be happy, but most people are not. Most people are really, really pissed about them taking it out. So sometimes the ratio wins. So I wouldn't be surprised if even next weekend or when the final version comes out, if it's put back in there. We'll see. It's certainly a conscious decision at the very least. So there you go. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer. I really liked it. And let's be honest, you don't buy Call of Duty to play the campaign because it's over in like 4 or 5 hours. Most people buy it to play the multiplayer, and I had a really good time with it. And again, it is modern, so it has all the new weapons, all the new technologies, all the new vehicles, and things like that. Whereas, Vanguard was set in a different time, and they always find ways to make technology work that shouldn't work. Like, they dust it up in like these weird, like almost like steampunk like style like things, but ultimately in reality that stuff wouldn't work. So they do manage to incorporate some future technology in the older games, and I don't know if it's realistic the way that they do it, but they do find a way to do it a lot of times. So there you go. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. We'll touch back on that probably around early November. And again, don't forget, I'll be playing this weekend. You can add me at Dinfire on PlayStation, and we'll shoot some fools in the face. All right, let's move on to our last topic of GameFace 316. Are we coming in under time? I think we are. if I keep this short. We'll see how it goes.
You're lucky I didn't know this had a demo.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't know that it has a demo.
I think I just didn't look at the PS5 very closely this week.
Oh, okay. We're going to talk about Valkyrie Elysium, which is, before I played it, I thought it was going to be an RPG, an action RPG. And some people may still think it's an action RPG. I would argue that it is... Emperor Dread's already guessing Body Harvest.
There's no demo for Body Harvest yet.
Not yet. Anyway, so I thought it was an action RPG. As I started playing it, like, it really is right on the line of being an action adventure and an action RPG. There are 3 skill trees, but they literally have like 6 options on each one of them. It's the upgrades and the RPG stuff is pretty minimal, honestly.
It's interesting just because this series started life as basically a Tales of Destiny style JRPG.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it is weird because it is an RPG franchise, so people assume that it's an RPG. But I'm just telling you,
I'm actually a little more interested in the remake of the first one.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
That comes with it.
So this has been an interesting week. So I've been learning all this stuff about Ragnarok because there's all the story stuff.
People love Ragnarok.
Yeah, that's why.
Nothing like a little public domain IP. To spice your story up.
Yep, pretty much. So I was learning all this stuff about Ragnarok to talk about God of War Ragnarok, and I was also playing this game, which is also set during Ragnarok, and Odin is like a key character in this game. In fact, Odin is the one who gives you all the mission objectives in this.
You're a Valkyrie.
Yeah, you're a Valkyrie.
You work for him.
And you're working for him. You're absolutely right. That's exactly how it works out. Basically, it's the backstory for this is just the backstory from Ragnarok. Odin and the wolf fight until they can't fight anymore. Both of them are basically mortally wounded. Odin creates you to purify the world and stop Ragnarok and basically save his ass, is what it comes down to. You're trying to stop Ragnarok because if Ragnarok continues on, he will die. So it's your job to go into these worlds that he sends you on and to purify all the souls in the world.
It's doubly weird that it's called Valkyrie Elysium because Elysium is a Greek myth.
It is, yeah, which I'm learning about right now as I'm preparing for my trip to Greece. So your job is to purify the souls of these creatures that you're fighting. And the catch in this is once you kill an enemy, their soul leaves the body and it starts traveling towards another enemy. And if the soul gets to the other enemy, that enemy becomes more powerful. So there's management that has to be done post-fight. After you've finished off an enemy and their soul starts trying to make it to an enemy, you watch the soul and you try to kill the enemy that it's trying to go to before it gets to the enemy, because otherwise it makes them more powerful. Now, I will say this. This is one of the easiest games that I have played in a really long time. I played this demo on the normal setting, and there's like 6, and it was like right in the middle. Crank it up, man. This game puts up no fight whatsoever. It's a joke. So that mechanic that I was just talking about, how the souls, like, it's irrelevant unless you turn up the difficulty setting. Because you can just walk through this game. I don't know if I ever died the whole time I played it. And I played it for a while. Like, this demo is pretty long. And I don't think I ever even got close to dying. I definitely never got scared that I was about to die. Because even if your health goes down, there's so many health pickups in this game that you never have to worry about like running out of health. So one thing I would recommend is if you do go to play this demo yourself, I would kick up the difficulty a notch or two. Otherwise, it's just kind of like a means to an end. I would not be surprised if they jack it up for the default difficulty setting before the game ships. And it is coming September 29th to PC and PlayStation, though the PC version is coming later in November. So the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 version, September 29th, and then the PC version later on in November. So as you can see, it is real-time combat instead of the turn-based combat like the original. And so I totally understand why people are like, this should be an RPG because the original was an RPG. But again, it really is just like a hack and slash with very, very light role-playing elements. The combat itself, there's lots of juggling, which Matt is not a fan of, and long combo strings. So you can see right there, like I have a 69-hit combo going right now.
I don't mind juggling. I don't like how Tekken does it. I think it looks stupid the way Tekken animates juggling.
Yeah.
That was always my issue. I thought, because Virtua Fighter was what I loved, and that was juggling. I had a lot of juggling too, but I just didn't think it looked as dumb.
Okay. And you can see the combo strings are very generous, like as far as how long they let them go on. Like, look, that meter has to go all the way down before my combo string breaks. So they're very, very, again, it's very easy. It's way, way too easy. So you have dodge mechanics in the game. You also have perfect dodges that slows down the enemy so you can counterattack. You have a grapple hook called a soul chain, and that can be used for traversal. You can latch onto certain objects and basically just hook shot your way up into the sky or up into higher areas. Or you can use it in combat. You can attach it to an enemy, and it'll draw you close to the enemy. And there's combos that start with that. So if you want to do certain combos, you have to lead off with using the hook shot to bring yourself closer to the enemy. You build up your magic meter through combat, and then you unleash it. And throughout this demo, I ended up getting, I think, 3 elemental attacks, like electricity, like a tornado, and one other one. And then you also have these other characters called Einherjars, which were actually in the original game as well, that you can summon. And they're just party members, basically. They don't fight with you all the time, but you'll see every once in a while in the bottom right, a little menu will pop up that just basically is a schematic of the 4 buttons on the face of the controller. You hold R2, that menu pops up, and you just tap the button to send one of your partners. You can see that right now I have a partner out there fighting as well. I got 2 in this demo. One has a sword, the other has a bow. And they're pretty smart. They will follow your lead, is what I found. They will go after whoever you are going after. Now, I did not find any ability to really instruct them on the fly other than, okay, I'm pointing you at this enemy, and now I'm going to summon you, and you'll attack this enemy. But other than that, they kind of are just autonomous, and they do their own thing, and they're smart. They do a good job. Enemies have weak points that you attack. If you attack the weak point, they will fall down, and then you unload. A lot of this game feels a lot like Monster Hunter, I'll be honest with you. As you get further into the demo and you start fighting more frequently the bigger enemies in the game, it starts to feel like Monster Hunter, where you have control over basically the whole party. And again, you want to attack the weak spot so that they collapse, and then you just unload with your big spells, and you summon all your guys, and you sick them on them, and you try to take them out while they're down. Again, the game is really easy. And so I'm not sure that I felt like I was pushed in this to really learn the nuances of the combat. I just kind of was always firing stuff off at the enemies, and it just always worked because the enemies just never had enough hit points.
You're 1 hit from dying right now in the V-roll.
No, yeah, but I won't. It's funny. I won't. Because I'll kill an enemy and it'll give me like all the health, it'll completely refill it or whatever. And I never quite understood how, like, what the meter meant. Like, you have the green, but then you also have like the gray part. Mm-hmm. I never figured out exactly what that meant because, again, I never really needed to because it was just too easy.
Presumably that's like something you could heal through doing something specific. But
and like that's your max amount you're able to heal or whatever.
From like whatever that, yeah, because it looks like that's how much you took.
See my health now, Matt?
Yeah, but once everybody died, all the orbs flew.
Yeah, they just give them all up. Yeah. What else do I have to say about this? Yeah, so what I was talking about earlier, how if you do enough damage against an enemy, it will collapse. That's actually called crashing. You can also, instead of just attacking the weak parts on the enemies, you can also check out their elemental alignment. And if you counteract their elemental alignment, you can also get them to crash, and then you can jump in and unload on them. The camera was probably the biggest issue I had with this, playing through this demo. It's just, by default, it's set too low, and when you run, it gets lower. So when you're running, it's like the camera is dragging along behind you in the grass, and you're like looking up at everything. When you get, and so it's a pain in the ass outside. When you get inside, they definitely need to work on it. When you get inside, it just whips around and whirs around. It cannot really follow the action when you're fighting like multiple enemies inside. There's definitely some work that needs to be done there on the camera, and I hope that they do that before they release it, because again, it's coming out here in a couple weeks. There's no real overworld in the game, or a map, or like a town to explore. Basically, Odin sends you out on a mission. You go, you finish the mission. Like, for instance, I'll beat this boss here. A portal will appear. You step into the portal, and you get teleported back to Odin, where there's this dumb cutscene. The game's not very cinematic and not very story-driven. Like, there's just little cutscenes here and there, but it's not a story-driven game, I guess is the best way to put it. So I'll beat this boss. I'll teleport back to Odin. Odin will say something. He'll be like, oh, now there's these people who are trying to kill me or whatever.
One of the weirdest things about this is how you don't lose your combo when you get hit.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, the combo strings are very generous in this. Like, you have to wait for that meter to go all the way down before you lose your string. It's crazy. Again, like I said, it's just way, way too easy. But yeah, so you go back to Odin, and he's just like, okay, I have another mission for you. And then you go to this thing that you stand on, and a map does come up, but you just basically select whatever option on the map is there. You're not actually exploring the map. You select that option, he teleports you to the next mission, which is another linear mission in a non-open world. You complete that mission, you go back to Odin, rinse and repeat until you finish the game, I'd assume. The combat in this game is simple compared to a lot of games that I've been playing recently. You basically have two hack and slash attacks. You have square and triangle. You have your quick attack and your strong attack. All the combos are derived from those two buttons. So, square, square, triangle, square, 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 triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle. All the combos are built around just those two buttons. And they get old quick. Like, you can probably even see from this B-roll. By the time you're done watching it, you're sick of watching the same combos over and over. It needs more. Undoubtedly, it needs more. And that's one thing I would like to see, but I do not see that happening. Visually, it's a okay-looking game. It's a little repetitive once you get out into the missions. Like, a lot of the ground textures are copy and paste over and over again.
It's a lot better in cutscenes, that's for sure.
What, the graphics? Yeah. Yep. But again, there aren't that many cutscenes in the game. Like I said, right now I'm back, hanging out with Odin. He does his little thing, sends you on your next mission.
Odin's a very fancy man.
Yeah. Now, I did run into a couple characters out in the field where they're like, what are you doing here? And I didn't even know who the hell they were. So there's going to be some twists and turns to the plot, I'm sure. But the bulk of how the story is told is like this. There's not a lot of storytelling out in the field. You come back to this sort of hub area with Odin, and that's where the plot is kind of moved forward. And that's pretty much Valkyrie Elysium. It's a very simple game. Again, very light on the RPG elements. If you're interested in this because you were a fan of Valkyrie Profile back in the day, that's not a good enough reason to buy this game. I'll tell you that right now. It is not much like that game at all. It has kind of the same setting and the same themes and things like that, and a lot of the same verbiage, but it plays entirely different, and the plot doesn't really tie in with the other one, even though it is based on Ragnarok. It's not like it picks up directly after the end or anything. It's just very loosely associated with the old games that everybody knows and loves, I guess is the best way I could put it.
Yeah, I'm more interested in it's basically like a port or remaster, I think, of the PSP or Vita game, whatever it was on, the remake of the first one.
Yeah. I mean, I had fun with this. I found myself continuing to play it because it offered no resistance. Like, I could just keep going and just mopping up enemies.
Kind of Dynasty Warriors style.
A little bit, yeah. It's like, it's not really about whether you can win the battle or not. It's like, will your patience wear thin before you go to the next battle? And do you believe that the next possible enemy or boss that you could fight is interesting enough that you should keep on going? And that's what I found. And again, like I said, there are some RPG elements. They're very light. There's like 3 skill trees that have very minimal things to upgrade. Even in this demo, I felt like I upgraded like a quarter of all like the skill trees. So I don't know how long this game is going to be either. I don't know. But again, the demo's out there. It's free. You can go and play it for yourself. But I don't know. I guess I'm kind of lukewarm on this game. I enjoyed playing it, but it was way too easy, and there are some issues with it that were kind of annoying. And it doesn't really, like, if you're looking to this to be the spiritual successor to the old games, you're going to be disappointed there as well. But if you're looking for a simple hack and slash with light RPG elements, it's worth checking out, I guess is the best way I could put it. I wouldn't spend $70 for it. I'll put it to you that way, though. But, yeah, there you go. That's Valkyrie Elysium. You think I'll go play the demo, Matt? Here's the skill trees, by the way, before we go. So you can see how simple the skill trees are.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
There's not a lot. There's 3 different ones, like 3 different elemental ones, but none of them are very big. So it is very, very light on the RPG.
It feels like there must be more in there at some point.
There may be something unlocks eventually, because you're right. Like, this is almost
like,
criminal.
why would you devote an entire tab of the menu to that?
Yeah. to those 3 different trees. Yeah,
you can almost show all of those on the screen at the same time.
Yeah. And here you can see, like, I'm leveling up my weapon, and you do get new weapons as you play. Like, eventually, like, right before the demo ended, I got, like, a new sword that swings a lot more quickly and doesn't take as long to, like, wind up or whatever. So you do get new weapons throughout the game, although they take their time giving them to you. They're not like a lot of other RPGs where after every fight there's, like, 50 weapons laying around on the ground, and you're, like, sorting through them, trying to figure out which one you should actually keep or use. So there you go. That's Valkyrie Elysium. Matt, do you have any questions about it?
No? Seems pretty straightforward.
It is. And sadly it is. Like, so we had Team Ninja's game, which I felt overwhelmed playing the demo, and then this one where I felt underwhelmed. And I'm like, there's got to be more to this than there is. And maybe there is eventually. I hope so, because what I played in that demo is very basic. So Delfino says character models look good. Yeah, I think they look pretty good. I didn't think they looked amazing, though. I mean, if you play, like, Ratchet and Clank or anything exclusive just made for PS5 or the Demon Souls remake for PS5, I don't think those character models look good at all. But for last gen, I guess they look good. Vortex Complex looks similar to that Xenoblade game to me. No. Which one?
There are no Xenoblade games with combat like that.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what he's talking about there. Is the main character voiced by Nurse Joy? I don't know. Ashes in the Hourglass. I don't know, honestly. Swanland says the trailer looks great, but this definitely shows that it might be boring. Yeah, well, that's how trailers work. They can cut out all the boring parts and just have the really fun parts in there. Bunko, frame rate seems in the 40s. Okay, this is something I should just say in general about footage on GameFace. So the footage always has to be 30 frames per second on GameFace to work with our TriCaster. Sometimes, if games run at crazy high frame rates, even if you record them natively at 30 frames, they look a little weird. Sometimes they'll look a little jittery, like the Modern Warfare 2 footage.
Looked like that.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens. So when you're watching GameFace, always remember that like whatever you're seeing is not always indicative of the game. I just want to make sure I get that out there, because I've seen sometimes people saying like, oh, it's like 30 frames a second. Yeah, like our show is 30 frames per second. It has to be to work with our TriCaster. To get a new TriCaster that works at 60 frames and 4K, it's like 12 grand or whatever, and I obviously can't afford that. So unfortunately, we're stuck using the 1080p 30 frames per second TriCaster that we currently have. So just something to keep in mind when we show footage here on GameFace, so you're not judging games too harshly based upon frame rates and stuff like that. Okay. I think that's all your questions. Ashes says that was a joke because the OG main character was voiced by Nurse Joy. Gotcha. Okay. All right. It's that time of the show where we do name that game. Last week, Matt, you kind of won.
Yeah.
It was at least a tie.
About the same time.
You definitely got it at the same time as everybody else. So that was good. And last week, I intentionally made it a little easier than usual. I picked Skyrim, first of all, which is a game I assume most people would have like mental triggers for. This week, I went harder. So last week, I went easy. This week, I tried to make it more difficult. And I'll see if I did it or not, or if I failed. For those of you who are watching this for the first time, Name That Game is exactly what you're going to try to do. I show you 5 screenshots from a game. You just try to name the game. You're trying to beat Matt at this. You guys win all ties. When we start the game, chat goes into slow mode, which means you can only type a response once every 60 seconds. So don't just spam with a bunch of game titles hoping that you guess it right. You need to hold your guesses for when you have a legitimate guess. You guys win all ties. If Matt says the name of the game and I look over and it pops up in the next second or two in chat, you guys get the win. If you win, you get a free video game. And I think that's it. Yeah. So here we go. Some of you, this is your favorite part of GameFace every week, which makes me a little bit sad because of all the work that I do on the rest of the show. But as long as you're enjoying it, that's all that really matters. Okay, we're ready for the first screenshot for Name That Game for episode 316. And here it is. Glover, no. Commander Keen 4, no. Oh, C-Note brings up, if you've already won this year, don't play. That was one thing I left out. You can't win twice in 1 year, one calendar year. Danny Endurance, nope. No, I do not know of the game called Nope. Spider-Man, no. God of War 2018, no. The Last of Us 2, no. Death Stranding, no. GTA 4, no. Lost Planet, no. That's a good guess, though. Lost Planet from Big Ass Boy. Bioshock 1, no. Okay, I think that's it. We're going on to screenshot number 2. And here it is. Returnal, no. 50 Cent Blood in the Sand, no. Good one, Wampler. I think I'm right. I think I made it harder. Watch Dogs 1. No, that is not right. Oh, Mitchell is Alive just got it. Detroit. Wow. I can't believe you got it from that. That's pretty amazing, dude. Wow. Yeah, that's what it is. A bunch of people got it. So Mitchell got it. And then
I thought that for a second, but then I couldn't think of a section with snow in it.
And then Evil Oni followed up with it right afterwards. Mitchell is Alive. You're correct. I am shocked that you got it based on those 2 screenshots, though. This one and this one. I do feel like sometimes people are using Google Images to get some of this stuff.
Detroit entered my head, but I couldn't think of a thing where the first screenshot was from.
Yeah.
But then I didn't finish Detroit, so...
I hope you guys aren't doing that. I hope you guys are playing legitimately.
Yeah, Google Images, it can't find that.
Yeah, it can.
No, it can't.
I think it can.
I don't think so.
Because that in particular, I didn't alter at all. I didn't zoom in or anything. So this was the screenshot that shows the one android on a rooftop holding the girl. And then that's the background of the city behind the android or whatever.
I think you are overestimating Google Image. I've tried to find stuff with Google Image, and it's an idiot.
Really?
Like, it does not... You couldn't find a tiny sliver of a screenshot like that.
Interesting. Second is from the hostage scene from the demo. Yes, what I just said. I'd recognize that blue David Cage light anywhere. Okay.
That's true. That light, that there's a quality of that color that he uses a lot.
Interesting. Okay, I'll show you the rest of them just for posterity's sake. Here's the third one. That might have given it away. That's also from a pretty iconic screenshot that made the rounds and is in a lot of articles for the game. Here is the fourth. Show off the shrubs. The shrubs are always something that tends to give these away. If I can show a shrub in a video game, 9 times out of 10, you guys will get it from the shrub. Like, that is something that I've picked up on over time. Is if I include shrubbery, you guys almost always get it. And then here was the final screenshot, and obviously that's just all the androids in a room, like all lined up and everything, and you know, with the uniform and the logo and everything, you guys definitely would have got it from that. So great job, Chad. That's pretty amazing that you got it from those 2 screenshots. Mitchell is Alive. There is your applause for winning Name That Game. Excellent job, man. That is amazing. I really thought that it would get to the 4th image with this one, but I was wrong again. You guys are just way better than I ever guessed. And I tried hard to make that one difficult. I really did. Like, I really thought I gave you guys really obtuse clues, but nothing's obtuse for you guys. So great job. Mitchell is Alive. Congratulations for winning Name That Game. Send me a DM on Twitter at DinFire. You can send us a direct message here on Twitch at Sifted Games. You can send a DM at Sifted Games on Twitter if you want. If you're on Sifted.net, you can send me a message at Shane. However you want to get at me, and we'll send you the code for your free game. And congratulations once again. Mitchell is Alive for winning Name That Game. Did you say you were about to guess Detroit?
Yeah, the second one did make me think Detroit, but I could not square it with what the first picture was. But I don't know everything in Detroit.
Yep, because both of us didn't finish it. Okay.
Like they said, there is some kind of quality to that colored light that made me think David Cage.
It's interesting how stuff like that just creates these connections in your mind that it's pretty amazing.
Well, it was like in there was a few days ago on the Name That Game, the hurdle, the guess the dot game. Was a few times ago was I think it was Half-Life 2, and I knew it because there's just a certain way the source engine looks. I just knew what that game was. I didn't recognize the scenery. I didn't recognize the level,
engine.
but I knew that was Half-Life 2 because there's just a certain way that looks.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. I stay away from that engine now because I remember I did Portal.
Yeah.
And I got really pissed off when people guessed Portal really quick.
I mean, Source Engine is one of the most identifiable.
Yeah, it is for sure. And I can't even tell you really what it is. Like,
no, there's just a quality of it.
Yeah.
There's a quality of the textures and the light and that way the way it blends things. I don't know.
Mitchell says he platinumed to Detroit.
Yeah.
And that helps. The more time that you spent with the game, it definitely helps for sure. Yep. Every person, Nox Aeternitis, every person here has spent too much time staring at one game. It's true. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, let's get to some Q&A before we head out of here. The Legacy. Thank you for Twitch Prime. That's awesome. And as always, try to do Twitch Prime at the beginning of the show or at the end. It'll give us a chance to like recognize you guys, which I always try to do every chance I get because you guys are awesome. Okay, let's get to some questions. AJ the Legend Watson. I'm wondering what you guys consider a sweet spot for the length of games. Do you prefer more than 40-hour games or something closer to the 20-hour mark? Well, it depends on if I paid for that game or I got it for free. I mean, it does matter.
Doesn't matter.
To you, it doesn't matter?
Should be as long as the game should be.
Yeah.
Like, Eco is about 3 hours long, and that's about right.
Yeah.
The Witcher 3 is about 80 hours long, and that's about right.
Yeah.
Like, there is a length that a game should be in its own sense. I don't care how long something is if I think it was as long as it should have been.
I generally agree with that way of thinking, but I do feel like some games are bloated and overstay their welcome.
It can be.
Because the developers just couldn't figure out.
I didn't mean to say that it doesn't go the other way.
Yeah.
Like, there's 80-hour games that shouldn't be 80 hours. Well, Valhalla is too damn long.
Yeah. Sometimes playing the long games is more satisfying when you finish them because you made it through the journey. Mm-hmm. It's like you put in the work to get through it. And if it's satisfying all the way through, then it's great. But there's a lot of games that are just padded to make them longer and just the copy and paste content to pad them out. And like, you know, I would be okay if like Assassin's Creeds were only 40 hours long. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, I don't need it. Honestly, most...
They used to be.
Yeah, I know. Most games, I don't need them to be longer than 40 hours, Matt, honestly. Like, I just don't. Like...
No, I don't... There's no hard time for anything. Like, it's like saying, like, movies shouldn't be this long or that long.
I think it depends on your lifestyle, too. Like, people who have kids and really crazy lives. Like, some of those people will never, ever finish a game that's longer than 15 hours. So if you ask somebody like that this question, they're going to say 10. Because otherwise, I'll never finish a video game ever again, or at least until my kids are in college or whatever. Like, I'm lucky I don't have kids in that way, so I can just spend all my free time playing games if I want to, and for you too. So a lot of it just depends, I think, on your lifestyle and what demands you have on your time. But I would be okay if no video game ever was over 40 hours. It would not burn my britches if there was this weird, like, subconscious limit that all games can't be longer than 40 hours. Like, I wouldn't complain, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I think The Witcher needed to be as long as it was.
Well, that's because it was just great from
there are games that need to be as long as they are, and that's the criterion.
Yeah.
Like, I don't go into anything expecting a certain... There is no such thing as a good length for a game. The game should be as long as the game is and how the game should be and what it justifies its own length.
Okay. That was a good question, AJ. A question from The Legacy. Do you think Sony will buy Deviation Games since they might lose Call of Duty eventually? Co-founder Jason Blundell left his studio, and Haven Studio co-founder Sebastian Puel left a month before Sony bought them. Also, they recently hired Lewis Castle, the co-founder of Westwood, Jonathan Hawkins, Dean Reimer, God of War dev, and Tony Flame, a Treyarch dev. Oh, we talked about this before. I mean, that's what happened with Haven. All Haven did was just hire a bunch of people, and Sony bought them.
Yeah.
So this could absolutely happen. And that, I think I even mentioned that day that if you're smart, you just form a studio with a bunch of superstars and just wait for the offers to roll in. You don't have to make a game or do anything. The industry's a little messed up right now, honestly, in that way. Because just because you have talented people, it's not a guarantee you're going to make a great game. Yeah, it's not.
But the big three are army building right now. So you kind of have to... You might as well play into that.
It's bizarre what's happening right now. There's been lots of all-star studios. What was that shooter from former Halo devs where, like, you like, it was an RTS cross with a shooter, and, like, you kind of flew around in these little, like, pods almost? What was it called? It was awful. But that was made by an all-star group of developers from all these other shooter franchises, and it was terrible.
Yeah, and the studio, the name of it. I remember watching the B-roll.
And the studio folded. It didn't even get to release its second game because that game was so bad. So it's not a given, but yeah, I mean, Sony probably will buy Deviation Games, or somebody will, if it really has that all-star lineup of developers. It's sad, but it's true. Ashes of the Hourglass. I tried to ask this last week, so I'm asking it again. Matt, what are your thoughts on the recent death and work of Jean-Luc Godard? I'm assuming Shane doesn't know who that is. I do know who it is, but I don't care enough to answer, and Matt will give you a better answer.
I mean, I don't know if he's an old man who, it's not super unexpected. I like a lot of his work, particularly Band Apart. Worth watching if you haven't seen especially his older stuff. I haven't seen most of his recent stuff because he switched to making shorts and things. I mean, I don't have a lot of thoughts on that, really.
No?
To be honest.
Didn't he hit you too much?
No. I mean, he's very influential, very important, but he just wasn't... He's not one of my favorites.
Yeah. I have no affinity or feelings towards him at all. I mean, obviously, I feel for his family that he's passed and his friends and colleagues, but I have no emotional attachment to him at all. From Erebus Jones, Microsoft still charges only €60 for new first-party games when they release. Am I right? Good one. When the Activision purchase goes through, do you think they'll reduce Call of Duty's price on PlayStation to bring it into line with the rest of their pricing? That's a good one, too.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of depends what that contract is.
You know where I stand on this stuff. I'm pissed off that I think that Microsoft is being too nice. So I feel like they should charge them the full 70 if they want to. If that's, I don't
know. You could see that as a bit of a power move, where it's like, hey, the biggest game on your system is still $60 as we said so, and now we made you look like you're gouging your customers.
Yeah, I mean, you could make a statement that way, but I don't think it's going to pull people away.
No, but it'd be, it's just knowing Microsoft, they might enjoy doing the public statement about it's like, oh, we believe that this is, the pricing of things should reflect it, and and you could really do some corporate speak that twisted the knife on that a little bit just to be a dick. I don't know how likely Microsoft would be to do that, but it might be fun to see.
Yeah.
Because it would be a populist move.
Make the console wars great again, man.
Yeah, especially if they don't up theirs to 70.
Yeah,
there's sort of that thing's like, yeah, Sony charges $70 for games. We don't know what that's about. But then again, there's going to be games on Microsoft that are $70 because 2K has already moved. GTA 6 is going to be $70.
Sony also already increased the price of its console, and Microsoft did not. So it would not increasing the price would kind of fall in line with what's been happening. One more. Oh, Emperor Dread. Well, I'll answer two more. This is very quick. When you make the puns for the lower thirds on the show, do you have any you're particularly proud of? Usually every episode, there's at least one that I am like, okay, I nailed that one. But you guys never say anything about them. So then when the show's over, I'm like, I guess it didn't hit the way that I thought. So usually every episode, there's one lower third that I'm pretty proud of. I'm like, oh, I nailed that one. And the funny part, too, is that I don't write the lower thirds all right in a row and right away. I'll have the show set up, I'll have most of the B-roll ready, and then I'll go take a shower. And while I'm in the shower getting ready for the show to come over here, that's when I come up with a lot of the lower thirds and the puns. So I've actually come up with a lot of things while taking a shower. I'm sure that's typical for a lot of people, because I think your brain just kind of clears itself and you're focused. But anyway, yeah, there are some that I'm proud of, but you guys never mention them, so I guess they all suck. Derek D111, thank you for Twitch Prime. Time Zini, thank you for Twitch Prime. And we will take one more. Evil Oni, thank you for the bits, man. That's awesome. Mega Drive Guy, thank you for Twitch Prime. Oh, there's a lot of questions in here I'm not going to be able to get to, unfortunately, guys. I'm sorry. Oh, Disintegration, Vincent brings up. That was the game I was talking about. And he's right. It was Disintegration. There's so many in here. I wish I could answer them all, guys, but we're already way over time. Let's see. Did Evil Oni ask a question? Since he gave us the bits, I'll answer it if he did. He did not. Okay. Well, Time Zini, you gave us Twitch Prime, so we'll answer yours. I live vicariously through gaming podcasts, Let's Plays, etc., rather than playing games myself. Interesting. Do you guys have any similar hobbies you still follow but aren't active in anymore? That's a great question, man. Do you want to start?
Probably not, because I don't have any of those.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Oh, mine's very easy. It's skateboarding. 1000% skateboarding. I know everything that's going on in skateboarding still. I know who all the hot skaters are. I know what all the hot tricks are. I know what people are trying that like, so there's certain things that happen. There's certain handrails or gaps that become known in the skate scene. Like there's a handrail called El Toro that's notorious because the run up to the handrail is awful and it's like disjointed. And it's like a 20-step rail. A big thing with doing rails is feeling comfortable when you're about to ollie onto the rail. Well, El Toro at the top, it's really uneven. And so as you're skating up to this 20-step rail, it's sketchy as hell because you're like off balance. So I know everything about skateboarding and I like never skateboard anymore. Like there's these new wheels that PAL just launched that are called the Dragon wheels that are like this new revolution that like they work the same whether you're on a flat surface or rough surfaces. Like they finally figured out this breakthrough in urethane technology. Like I know everything that's still going on in skateboarding, but I rarely ever skateboard myself anymore. So that's the one for me, undoubtedly. I still live vicariously through all these people. And I do watch like videos of people my age who are still skating and wish I could do it. But like my knee surgery hasn't worked out as well as I had hoped. My knee's still kind of jacked up and I just haven't been able to get back into it. So I definitely live vicariously in the skateboard world through YouTube videos. So you're not alone there. I think everybody probably does a little bit of this. Especially as you get older and physically you can't do the things that you used to do, but you still maybe be interested in it. Or still, in all honesty, with skateboarding, I'm still just impressed by it.
That's the advantage of never having cared about sports.
Yeah,
I don't have anything I do.
That's true. That's a good point.
Everything I've been interested in, I still can do.
That's kind of awesome, actually. I wish I could say that, but I can't. But otherwise, like most of the other stuff I'm into, like I haven't played hockey for a while, but I'm already starting to get back into that. I'm starting to get set up with the league. I'm going to go back to playing hockey again. Skateboarding is just
You've had enough rest, knee.
Yeah, seriously. Skateboarding is just so dangerous, man. Like one mistake and you just tore your ACL, and I just don't want to go through it again. So, I've dialed back some of my life activities, but like other stuff I haven't. Like when I was in Philadelphia over Labor Day weekend, my buddy DJ'd and I danced for like 2 hours at his event. So like some stuff that people may look at me and be like, you're too old to still be doing that. I still do it, but other stuff I have stopped because I just had to physically. Noxator says, I always appreciate the lower third puns. Thank you, man. It's crazy when you do stuff like, and you put a lot of thought into it and it just keeps like, and no one ever notices it. Mm-hmm. After a while, you're like, why am I doing this? But some people notice it, and that's all that really matters. So there you go. That's GameFace 316. I thought it was a great episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks to everybody on the chat. You guys were awesome as usual. Sorry we couldn't get to all your questions. Maybe you can bring them back for next week like one of our question askers did. We are supported 100% at Patreon. So if you like our show and you want to see more of it, if you want to get the show early, you can't make it to our live streams, and you don't like waiting 5 days, head to patreon.com/sifted. That's SIFTD without the E. You can pledge whatever you want there. We appreciate every dollar. Every single dollar. We appreciate it, guys. And if you can't afford any money, and I totally get that, you can help us with Twitch Prime. The instructions to do that are down below if you're watching on YouTube. And if you don't watch on YouTube and you need help with that, send me a DM on Twitter. I will walk you through it. It's really easy, and it's not a big deal for me to help you do that stuff. So, and don't forget, add me at Dinfire on PlayStation or Xbox to play some Call of Duty this weekend. I think that's it. Yeah. We almost got... No, we didn't get in under time. We're still 10 minutes over.
No.
I could have quit and not done Q&A, but there were so many questions that I wanted to answer some of them because let's just be honest, you guys are awesome, and I want to get you guys integrated into the show as much as I can. So, again, head to patreon.com/sifted to help us if you can, especially if you're out there and you're listening to it on any of the podcast services, because GameFace is on all of them. And sometimes I feel like your podcast just goes out there and people consume it and they don't really know how to support. So let's try to mention at least something for the people who are just listening to the audio version of the show and don't see all the graphical reminders of ways that you can help us. So anyway, that's it for GameFace 316. We'll see you next Tuesday right here at twitch.tv/siftedgames. GameFace is up and out.